It's time for that annual Nebraska-Oklahoma showdown. We are just seconds away from kickoff. I am Merlin Klaus. I'll be doing the play-by-play here. Joining me is Dan Livingston, the host of the Tom Osborne Show. And Dan, before the game, maybe not as much hype, but now before kickoff, you get the old goose pimples.
You really do, Merlin. It is still Oklahoma versus Nebraska. Got to be the biggest game of the year.
All right, Chris Drennan kicking off for Nebraska. It's deep. And that is Otis Taylor in the end zone. He will not run it out. It's a touchback. Drennan kicking with a strong wind. And so Oklahoma will start off on their own 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Good start for the Huskers to get off to, if that's any type of omen, Dan.
It really is. There's a strong wind out there, and Drennan's strong leg all year long has put it into the end zone. The Huskers have been very good at that.
There you see Collins, Brewer, Long, Perry, Bronson, Cooper, the backs and receivers, Mannings, Tuwatsky, Wise, Medise, and Houston, the starting offensive line. Here we go. The handoff to Brewer. He has a hole. Picked up about 4 yards on the play. Brought down by Kent Wells, among others. And so that'll bring up a 2nd down and 6 for the Oklahoma Sooners. Nebraska starting defensive line. We have Jeff Mills, Ray Valado, Mike Murray, Kent Wells, and Mike Kroll. The linebackers, Randall Jobin and Pat Tyrant. And the defensive backs, Pickens, Cooper, Tyrone Bird, and Tahan Lewis. 2nd down and 6 to go. The Sooners in the power I formation. Steve Collins calling the signals. Collins, he has the first down. Fumble! Fumble! Nebraska signals that they have the football.
A big hit. Nebraska signaling they got it, and they have.
Oh my, what a start come up with this game, but that's number 5 for the Huskers. Here's the replay of that.
A big hit in here, coming right here, boom. The ball pops out, bounces right into his hand.
That's Tahan Lewis on the recovery, Dan. And the Huskers will take over on the Sooners' 34-yard line. There's the starting lineup for Nebraska. Gadowski, Carpenter, Clark, Bell, Gregory, and Kratzenstein. The line, Tom Hunt, Wanek, Young, Babora, and Glazer. So 1st and 10 for Nebraska at the 34. They come out in the I formation. Gadowski, the quarterback. Carpenter is the fullback, and Clark is the I-back. The handoff is to Clark up the middle. Not much room there. The big, strong front line of the Sooners pushing them back. They do have a great a great defensive line. There you see it. Wayne Dixon, Stacy Dillard, Dante Williams, Scott Evans, and Chris Wilson. The linebackers Reggie Barnes and Frank Lovins. Thompson, Belzer, Ray, and Franks are the defensive backs.
Merlin, I thought Osborne might try to catch him there. He usually does it on a turnover early.
Well, he's maybe trying to test their reaction, Stan. In either event, only 2 yards on that play. 2nd and 8, the Huskers in the spread formation now. Carpenter, the lone setback. Gadowski looking to throw. Here's Richard Bell. What a catch by Richard. And he's brought down at about the 23. He's going to be about a yard short of that 1st down.
That's what I was talking about. Of course, this is a different play than they've run all year long. They're in the pro or spread formation, and Bell simply swings out to the side and just barely short of that 1st down. No, you got it.
All right, it is a 1st down for the Huskers. They got a good spot there, and they put it at the 23. So it's 1st and 10 for Nebraska. Nate Turner in now at kind of a wingback as the Huskers line up in the power I formation. John Bostic split out wide to the right. Gadowski calls the signals. Gadowski keeps it. Gadowski, 15, 10, and he's inside the 10. Jerry Gadowski on the keeper.
And you see Carpenter out there clapping his hands. He's the guy that laid the block in there and opened it up. As you see it right here, every time this year he cuts down a linebacker, opens that up, and Jerry puts his head down here and gets a couple of extra yards.
So the Huskers will have 1st and goal. Let's call it the 9-yard line. 1st and goal for Nebraska. Jerry Gadowski brings them up. What a season he has had, the senior from Fremont. Nate Turner in along with Carpenter and Clark in the backfield. Double tight ends for the Huskers. Gadowski keeps again. He may go in. Touchdown, Nebraska! Jerry Gadowski made it look easy. I don't think he was touched on that play, Dan.
I don't think so either. And of course, that's the way it's gone all year long with one of the Oklahoma defenders outplaying the pitch man, and Jerry just cuts it up underneath. He reads this extremely well. See a tremendous shot there from the cameraman. You can almost see his eyes looking out, knows that the guy's going to go out with a pitch guy, and just follows it on in for the touchdown.
Greg Barrios in to go for the extra point. He has kicked 78 straight extra points here at Nebraska. Every time he kicks one, it's a new record. The kick is up, and it is good. So with 12:56 left to go here in the first quarter, Nebraska draws first blood. The score, Nebraska 7 and Oklahoma nothing. And Dan, we've seen some wild Nebraska-Oklahoma games over the year, but I don't ever remember a start like this for Nebraska.
Well, it's almost like the start at Colorado, of course, where they jumped out there, went 56 yards right off the bat and got everybody going. And if there's ever any concern about the crowd sitting on their hands, I don't think there's going to be that concern anymore, because that really got the crowd up. Tyrone Bird was the guy that made the hit on that fumble and knocked it loose as Collins was cutting back, and the ball just bounced up perfectly for Nebraska, and it was only 4 plays and they were in.
4 plays and 34 yards on the drive, and Jerry Godowski ran 2 times for 23 yards and passed for 9, so you could call that an all Jerry Godowski march. Ken Clark, I believe, had the other 2 yards. And we'll be ready for the kickoff here in just a moment. That wind continues to blow. The wind continues to blow out of the southwest, it looks like, Dan. And I'll tell you what, I've had warmer situations up here on the photo deck.
It is a little nippy, but I bet down on the field, the players are loving this. This is great football weather. They don't mind it at all, so they don't have to worry about the heat, and the heat zapping their strength out of them.
It's supposed to be in the 40s today, and I'm not quite sure if it's gotten there yet. Chris Drennan, though, kicking off. Deep for Oklahoma, we have Otis Taylor and Duell Brewer. There's Drennan. It's into the end zone. Let's see if he runs it out. No, sir. So we have another touchback for Oklahoma. And the Sooners will get the ball at the 20-yard line. So Chris Drennan with 2 kickoffs. Both of them made it to the end zone for touchbacks. There you see Coach Tom Osborne, and you never can tell by looking at Tom, Dan, if he's winning or losing.
We got a pretty good tip as we were doing the Osborne show last week. I think Tom was as relaxed as he's ever been, and if that leads over to the football team, I think you're going to see a great effort from Nebraska.
All right, Steve Collins brings the team up now. The Sooners trail 7-0. Collins keeps it, and he is tackled in the backfield. Or excuse me, that's the fullback. I've been fooled by the option. That was the fullback, Leon Perry.
Cameraman sort of went with that quarterback, too. That was a good fake.
A good tackle by Wells to the quarterback, even though he didn't have the ball. Here you see the replay. Leon Perry, the senior fullback. And that's Randall Jobden, and Jeff Mills looks like cleaning up on that play. Pick up about 4. Didn't mean to get overexcited there. The Sooners now will face a 2nd down and 6 situation. Collins once again, 500 yards of total offense the last 2 weeks for Steve Collins, so he can move the team. That time he's almost tackled again, and Brewer is run out of bounds by Tyrone Bird, the freshman, who is off to a great start. And Dan, I know that Marvin Sanders, who was injured, plays the run very well, but Tyrone Bird, his replacement, certainly is no slouch at this.
He really isn't. He gets out there and stays his position, just gives him enough bump to get him out of bounds, and Oklahoma is coming up on a very critical 3rd down situation. You might see them put it up for the first time, and that's where they're most vulnerable.
Well, they actually lost a yard on that play, so it's going to be 3rd and 7 for the Sooners. That's Ted Long in motion. What's the call here? We'll have to wait and see what the officials say.
Now, I don't know why the official did not call that earlier, because definitely the guy on the end of the line, on the Oklahoma line, raised up.
They are certainly signaling for a legal procedure. Movement on that line, so that's going to drive it back 5 more yards. And Dan, we've heard that Oklahoma has an improved passing game. At least their formation is more conducive to passing. And we're going to get probably a first-hand look at how well they progressed in passing.
We're going to see it here. The thing that the Oklahoma quarterback Collins has to really guard against is that strong wind and the ball floating on him.
All right, he is throwing into the teeth of a gale here. Collins looking to throw. He's going long, and it is caught. That is Arthur Guest. He about their passing game, Dan.
Tahan Lewis there went up and tried for the interception and did not get it, and that's what caused him to go in. We're going to see it on the replay here, I'm sure.
All right, this is Collins going back to pass. Boy, he threw this a long way into the wind. That's not a bad pass at all. And you're right, Dan. Lewis had a chance to knock that ball down. Guess took it away from him. And that play would cover, what, about 82 yards.
And he was celebrating a little early there.
He almost was caught by Pickens. R.D. Lasher in now to kick the extra point. The kick is up. And it is good. And so the big play, as it did in the Colorado game, haunts Nebraska. And it's a 7-7 ball game. Dan, I'm out of breath after the first 3 minutes of this game.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes and 2 seconds, and we've got 14 points. And you kind of didn't expect it to be that way. You most certainly didn't expect Oklahoma to score through the air that quickly.
It's interesting here in the scoring drive chart, Dan. The Huskers had a 4-play drive for a touchdown. The Sooners have a 3-play drive. Arthur Guess on the touchdown on a 3rd and 12 play. Guess, of course, is no stranger to the big play. The junior wide receiver averaging 37 yards a catch and had 4 touchdowns, make it 5 now, so he did nothing to lower that yards per catch average. 7-7.
It was probably a bad decision, and I'm sure that's what Osborne is saying, by Tahan Lewis to go up and try to intercept that ball instead of knock it down.
Well, in a game like this, I'm sure everybody wants to make that big play and wants to contribute. Kind of backfired in that case, but once again, the pass from Steve Collins is really what impressed me. I talked to George Darlington, the Nebraska secondary coach, earlier this week, and he compared Collins to Mike Grant of Nebraska, which isn't a bad comparison. All right, the Sooners getting ready to kick off here. Brad Riddell, number 84, he is a freshman. He does the kicking off. R.D. Lasher does the placement kicks. And he kind of put the line drive down. It's Tim Yannick who has it. And he almost broke through there. He's brought down at the 35. And Dan, I'm not sure if that was intentional. Let's look at the replay, though, this touchdown play. Once again, Collins with plenty of time.
Great throw right on the numbers. He hung it up. And Tahan Lewis really thought he had that as an interception.
He sure did. A little taunting there by Arthur Guest. Might be a little early, and as you say, a little early celebration. He was almost brought down. So Gary Gibbs may have a few words for him. All right, the Huskers bring it back up now. It's tied 7-7. Jerry Godowski calling the signals. Carpenter and Clark in the backfield. The handoff is to Carpenter. Oh, that hole closed quickly, man. It looked like they might have some yardage there.
Yeah, you'd want to pick up at least 4, maybe 5.5 yards on first down. And they only picked up about 3 there, so it puts Nebraska in a little bit different situation. As you can see on the replay here, he just ducks his head down in there, and that's a hit that really straightened him up there by... Can't quite read it.
All right, we have a 2nd down and 8 to go for the Sooners. Jerry Godowski, 15 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions this year. That is what you call an efficient quarterback. He's looking to throw again. Has plenty of time. And Jerry just kind of threw that one away. And Tom mentioned last week on the show, Dan, that it's one of the things Jerry does best. That's why that interception total is so low.
He doesn't try to scramble around and get out of trouble. When he sees the play isn't going to work, he throws it away. Let me point out to you, though, that was designed to go to the fullback. It was the fullback screen that they scored on so quickly last week, and Oklahoma had it smothered.
All right, so we have Chip Baugh and Nate Turner split out to the near side. Carpenter and Clark setbacks. 3rd down and 8. The Huskers in a passing situation here. Godowski, the pitch to Clark. He has the room, and he has the first down. Well, I tell you,
only team in the country that can be in a passing situation and run the ball and pick up the first down.
You know, in some respects, I think Tom is maybe more confident with that option if he thinks it's available.
You see on the replay here, Clark lowering his head and getting the last yard, just banging ahead.
All right. First down for Nebraska at the 47-yard line. And the Huskers are moving again. Cam Clark, number 2 on the all-time Nebraska rushing charts. Morgan Gregory split out wide to the near side as Godowski calls the signal. I'll tell you what, the Huskers have that option going. They're going on the pitch to Clark. Not much there. And Ken is brought down. He never really got much momentum going. And on that play, number 35, Frank Levens, linebacker, junior linebacker, and he is probably their main tackler on this team. He's averaging about 11 tackles a game for the Sooners.
See on the replay there that Clark is trying to find a hole that never developed. He really didn't pick a position that he was going to run into. He was waiting for the blocks to give him a hole, and they didn't pick up but about a yard there.
All right, 2nd down and 9. Huskers go into that spread formation. I believe that's Carpenter, the lone setback there. 2nd and 9. It's a double reverse. It's Richard Bell around the right side, and he has the first down. So time didn't wait very long, Dan, to reach into that bag of tricks, and that was very well executed. It fooled me for a second there as well.
That's the play that I had called earlier before the ball game had started, that they would give the ball off on the reverse, and the reverse would play a big part in this ball game. And as you see there, you called it. Lineman down front, blocking, and he picks up the first down.
All right, here's the all-time series record, and OU has the edge in that, 38-28. If Nebraska wins today, they will be tied 5-5 for this decade. So some bragging rights on the line. 1st and 10 for the Huskers. The handoff is to Clark, and he has some yardage. Down to the 34, and Dan, we heard a lot of talk about how good this Oklahoma defense is, and you have to be impressed with the way the Huskers are moving the ball right now.
They're winning the battle at the line of scrimmage, and this time Clark doesn't wait for the hole. He picks it out early, and boom, goes right through it.
Boy, and he had a nice hole to run with there. In on the tackles, Wayne Dixon, the left outside linebacker for the Sooners. Huskers come out in the spread formation on 2nd down and 4. The handoff to Carpenter, trying to get that first down, and he is short a couple of yards.
I'm sure the audience can hear the popping out there. We got a great mic on field, and it's just pop, pop, pop on every play. That's those big Nebraska linemen moving off that defensive line of Oklahoma. And as I said before, right now they're controlling the line of scrimmage.
Joe Bowden, number 45, in on the tackle for the Sooners, and that will bring up a 3rd down situation for Nebraska. We're tied at 7-7 with 8:43 left to go in the first quarter, and what an exciting quarter it's been. Carpenter and Clark, the setbacks. Godowski. Play action pass. Richard Bell wide open. He has it. Touchdown Nebraska. Oh my!
What a fake.
A tremendous fake. The only question, Dan, was whether or not the pass would be too long. And Richard Bell is about as sure-handed a receiver as you can get.
And what a call by Osborne. Now that was 3rd and short, and you think that Osborne would go up to the middle as they're controlling the line of scrimmage, but a tremendous fake there.
Boy, did he neutralize everybody on that defense, and Bell is wide open. Look at this catch. Oh! Hey, if the pro scouts don't think this guy can play, they have another thing coming. Here's Greg Barrios. And there's a bad snap. That's Jerry Dunlap going in the end zone. Carpenter has it. Oh! A 2-point conversion.
And the way this ball game is going, a mistake might be the most important play in the ball game. As you said, a bad snap forces them to go for 2, and they get it converted.
But Dan, that play worked out so well, you almost wonder if it was pre-designed.
You're right, there was some hesitation there. I do think it was a bad snap, but Jerry Dunlap showed tremendous focus and ability. He was trapped back there, ran around until he looked for the guy Carpenter. Now also Carpenter had to know the snap was bad, and of course that is a preconceived play. When there's a bad snap, he sprints out to the side.
So the Huskers now move out in front 15-7 with 8:23 left here in the first quarter. A lot of offense thus far. That was an 8-play drive, 65 yards. The big play, of course, a 31-yard pass from Jerry Godowski to Rich Bell. And then the Huskers with the 2-point conversion, Dunlap to Carpenter in the end zone. And I think, boy, that's got to be a thrill for Jerry Dunlap, Dan, because there's a guy who doesn't see much playing action. And to have the presence of mind to do that, as you mentioned, was really tremendous. In fact, I believe that Godowski was the the holder early in the season. I think they switched to Dunlap sometime mid-season.
Yeah, the kickers had said to a man that Dunlap is one of the best holders, and of course that is a tremendously important part of that kicking game.
All right, Chris Drennan kicking off. Let's see if he can make it 3 for 3. Deep are Brewer and Taylor. This one's in the end zone as well. So the Sooners will bring it out to the 20-yard line.
The Sooners will come out in action, and here we see the fake again. And you're right on this catch. This thing was almost over his head, and he goes over his left shoulder, and he still goes up, brings that ball down. A tremendous catch.
All right. 8 plays, 65 yards. They consumed 3.5 minutes on that one. Godowski to Bell, the scoring pass. All right, here come the Sooners. Let's see what they can come up with offensively. The handoff is to Brewer, I believe. And he has about 4 yards on the play. Randall Jobin once again in the heart of the action there. Joel Brewer, the freshman, ironically, Dan, a Nebraska recruit.
Yes, they did. And just imagine no national television audience, but just think only the Nebraska people are going to be able to see this one. And so far, it's a great one.
I'll tell you what, I'm excited doing the play-by-play and watching this game. 2nd down and 6 for the Sooners.
Nothing.
And nothing doing there on the front line. I'm not sure if that was Perry, the fullback. It was. And the heart of that Nebraska line, Mike Murray and Kent Wells and guys like that, stopping that play up pretty good. So, Dan, outside of that long touchdown pass, the Sooners have done nothing on offense. About
7 yards on offense, and now they come up with another throwing situation. We'll see how well they do here.
All right. 3rd down and 5. The last time they put the Husker pass defense to the test, Art Guess
had to call timeout. The clock was running down. It was already down to 5 seconds. Looked like they had a little trouble in their huddle understanding the play. Now, they probably did because it was probably another pass play, and they've only called about 10 of those all year long, right?
Yeah, they've used their quota up. Actually, Dan, looking at the scoring chart for Oklahoma this year, I was very surprised at the large amount of big yardage pass plays they have. I mean, this is not, it's probably a low percentage of passing, but they do have quite a few big plays. An interesting point about Collins, Dan, Steve Collins, their quarterback. He has made history the last couple of weeks. He is the only Oklahoma quarterback to pass and run for over 100 yards in consecutive games. So we have been singing the praises of Jerry Godowski here in Nebraska for his balanced attack. And Mr. Collins has also been putting up some numbers. Speaking of Godowski, thus far he has 2 of 3 passing for 40 yards and a touchdown. And he has run twice for 23 yards, so he needs only 74 yards to reach 1,000 yards on the season. Become the first Nebraska quarterback to do that. All right, here we go. 3rd and 5 now for the Sooners. Collins. He is stopped short of the first down.
Well, I tell you, a tremendous recovery by Bird and by Mills. It looked like that play really was going to pick up the first down when it first started to develop. They rolled out, and they had enough blockers out there that looked like they were going to pick it up, as you see here. But Cooper goes down and makes the first one, and then that's Jodman who comes over. Tremendous recovery by Nebraska.
Yeah, Cooper really stood his ground there, and even though he did make the tackle, he tripped him up, and as you say, it allowed Jobin and Tyrants. All right, deep for the Huskers, we have Richard Bell and Tyrone Hughes. Hughes leading the Big 8 in punt returns. A high kick. Hughes fields it. He's going to go with it. He has the running room. Tyrone Hughes at the 50. One man to beat. Oh, and he is brought down by the punter, Brad Riddell, the only man standing between Tyrone Hughes and 6 more Nebraska points.
You hate to say that after an effort like that Tyrone made a mistake, but you'll be able to see here that this is a middle return. Right up that slot is where he's supposed to go, and he cuts it back to the outside, and the one man is there to get him.
Of course, if all the Nebraska mistakes turn out to be 30-yard punt returns, we'll take them. A 40-yard punt and a 32-yard return. And so the Huskers are in scoring position again, 1st and 10 at the 36-yard line. The I formation, Carpenter and Clark the setbacks. Let's see what Jerry Godowski has up his sleeve. Thus far, a very balanced attack. Godowski looking to throw again, and he has his tight end. That's Kratzenstein. Inside the 30, I believe he's short of a first down, Dan.
Yeah, it looks like he's about a half a foot short of the first down, but he's right on top of it. I'm sure they'll measure it.
All right, here's the replay. There's two receivers out there kind of flooding that zone, and Jerry goes to the short man, and he is wide open, and so we're going to have a measurement. I thought he was brought down a couple of yards short, but the Huskers are getting some good spots this afternoon.
They really are, and another great fake by Jerry. He just handed that ball out there. It looked like it was going to be another running play, pulled it back, and as you said, they flooded the zone with two receivers. In fact, they were both tight ends, one deep in Garrett and another one short in Kratzenstein. He threw to the underneath man, and as I had said, just about a foot short.
All right. You have better eyes than I do, Dan.
Because I'm younger.
Something like that. All right, we have second down and about 1 to go for the Huskers.
My eyes have improved over the years doing football games because you have to strain to see the cheerleaders on the sideline.
Yeah, I don't even know they exist, Dan.
Right.
I'm concentrating on my work and just don't even see them down there. I'll tell you what, being a cheerleader today would not be the most enviable task. I see the Sooner cheerleaders have their sweats on. The Nebraska cheerleaders are gutting it out with their short skirts. All right, we have a second down and 1 for Nebraska, the power I formation. Once again, Carpenter and Clark, the setbacks. I believe that's Richard Bell in the backfield with them. Godowski calls out the signals. Godowski on the keeper. He's in trouble, and he goes down short of the first down.
Well, the Oklahoma defensive backfield did a better job that time of covering the receivers down the field. Of course, that is the Nebraska famous triple option, and Jerry can either decide to run the ball, pitch the ball, or throw it downfield. And that time, about all of those the three options were taken away.
All right, we have third down and 1 for Nebraska. I believe Godowski actually lost a little bit here. Let's see what he comes up with. Tom has pulled out his bag of tricks early in this game. Handoff is to Clark. He gets outside. He has the first down and more. Oh, my. What tremendous balance by Ken Clark. And, Dan, it really is good to see him running with that type of strength and power again.
It just has been an amazing year for him. As you see on this replay here, he shows tremendous balance. He spins out and bounces around a couple of times, breaks a couple of tackles. And then in other ball games during the mid-season, you'd almost see him as if the effort wasn't there. But the effort most certainly is there today.
He had that bruised knee, of course, and certainly is back to form right now. The Huskers come out in the spread formation on 1st and 10. Let's see what they have up their sleeves here. Brian Carpenter, the lone setback. Godowski gives off to Carpenter. And not much doing there. He gets inside the 20, but I'd say picked up about 3 yards. And I have been on the sidelines most of the season, Dan, and so you've been able to get the view from up here, but is that unusual for the Huskers to be in that spread on 1st and 10?
No, they've been in the spread formation about 1/4 or 1/3 of the time this year. Of course, they have really woven that into their offense, and as Tom said at the end of the bowl game last year, they were going to adapt their offense, and of course, this is one of the adaptations.
All right, they tried to catch the Sooners napping there. It didn't work, so we have second down and 8 on the Oklahoma 19. The Huskers lead 15-7. Some movement on the line. Both teams pointing at each other.
I think it's going to be against Nebraska, though, there.
Looked like Tom Punt might have moved his hand, first of all, and yes, that's the call. All right, let's look at the replay here. Look for number 78, and there you see the movement. Actually, Dan, it looked like he reacted to the Oklahoma movement, which is certainly legal for Oklahoma to do, but Tom kind of lost his cool a little bit there, and so it cost Nebraska 5 yards.
Well, when you're across the line from somebody who's big, strong, and fast, you surely want to get off as soon as you can, and if he flinches like he's coming forward, it's just a natural reaction.
And he is across from, I believe, Scott Evans, who is truly one of the finest defensive linemen in this country. 6'3" and 260. There you see the total yards for this game thus far. Oklahoma and Nebraska fairly even, but the Huskers have had the more consistent drives. Second down and 13 now. Passing situation, Gdaski brings it out. Going into the end zone. Garrett is open. Touchdown, Nebraska. Oh, my. Chris Garrett, 5 yards behind the defender. And Jerry Gdaski, you called him the Polish rifle. I might have to call him the Polish magician. This guy is pulling some fakes out there.
He really is, and Oklahoma is just not handling these fakes in the backfield. They're coming up on the run, and as you see, this guy is so wide open. Jerry had to loft the ball to get it off because they were coming up to him. But when somebody is that wide open on 2 occasions, Garrett and now Bell and now Garrett.
All right, here's Barrios for the extra point, and it is good. And so, Nebraska moving on top, 22-7, with 3 minutes left to go in the first quarter. And Dan, I thought Nebraska would win, but I did not envision this scenario.
Well, as I had said on the Osborne show, or as Fearless Dan had said on the Osborne show, that he predicted 38-17, and Tom kind of rolled his eyes and sat back in his chair and said, Dan, that's a lot of points against that tremendous Oklahoma defense. And we already have 22 of that 38 here in the first quarter.
You know, talking to Husker receivers coach Ron Brown earlier this week, he said if the defense of Oklahoma had any drawback at all, it would be a lack of experience in the secondary. Only one of their 8 top players is a senior, and the others are sophomores. And the player on coverage there, Jason Belzer, was a sophomore, and he really was sucked in by that fake. Well, that Nebraska drive covers 36 yards in 6 plays, and the touchdown pass was 24 yards. Jerry Gdaski to Chris Garrett. And you know, Garrett has now caught 3 touchdown passes out of 4 receptions, so that's a pretty good percentage, Dan.
Yeah, 2 or 3 of the Nebraska receivers have tremendous ratio of touchdowns to catches.
John Bostic has 6 touchdowns and 10 receptions. So we had the touchdown twins there. Nebraska, Dan, here's an interesting stat. 3rd down conversions. Nebraska is 3 for 3. You can't do any better than that.
And the wind keeps blowing the ball off the tee, so we're going to get, and just blew our papers off our desk up here, and we're going to get somebody to hold it now so he can pound this one again into the end zone.
All right, that's Bruce Pickens with the holding duty. And Chris Drennan, who has already nailed 3 into the end zone, will try it again. That one is strong and deep. Let's see if Brewer tries to bring it out. He does! Dewell Brewer at the 10. Oh! Line. Well, he was about 3-4 yards deep in the end zone. Here's another look at that touchdown play, Dan.
Just tremendous. And as I was talking about, see what the fakes do. Garrett was at least 20 yards behind anybody, and Oklahoma defense most certainly is afraid of that triple option and afraid of Gdaski. And if he continues to hurt him, as he already has, those types of plays are going to work. And another play that's going to work also, you see him keep pounding up in there with the fullback. That's going to break before the day's over.
All right, the Sooners. Steve Collins brings it up. 1st and 10 from the Nebraska 25. They trail 22-7. Collins on the keeper. Nice spin move there, but that is Reggie Cooper saying hello, Steve Collins. Reggie, who missed last week, Dan, certainly because of injury, certainly seems very healed on that play.
It's really something. You can see it on the replay here, a tight shot of Collins as he spins and says, hello, Mr. Cooper. The next spin here. Ooh, whammo.
He picked up 3 yards on that play, and he paid dearly for it. 2nd down and 7 for the Huskers now. The handoff is to Brewer. And he has a little yardage, but there is not much doing up the middle for Nebraska.
Merlin, isn't there another number there now in between the 20 and the 30? There's a 10 implanted into in the surface there. Collins' number off his back.
Well, I tell you, get the number of that truck, I think, Dan. The Sooners will face a 3rd down situation, 3rd and 3. Brewer thus far really not had much in the way of yardage, only 4 yards total for the first half. All right, 3rd down and 3. There's a flag down. Collins keeps it. He's going nowhere. Short of the first down. Randall Jobbin on the play, but looks like there might have been some movement off the line, Dan. We'll see what the flag is.
I think there was movement off the line, and of course, if it is against, they're saying Oklahoma players are saying against Nebraska, it's offside.
So that will be, yes, it will be an automatic first down for the Sooners.
Oh, that's a tough call.
Encroachment on the defense. 5 yards, first down.
Well, I did not see it. I did not see it. When they call encroachment, it is usually somebody up too close to the line of scrimmage and makes a little bit of contact before the ball is snapped. That would have to be, you would think, the nose guard. But, boy, I did not see it.
All right, in any event, it's a 1st and 10 for the Sooners. They're now at their own 38-yard line. Less than 2 minutes left to go here in the first quarter. Collins looking to throw. He goes deep, and it's way overthrown. On the coverage there for Nebraska was number 3, Tyrone Leggett. And Bruce Pickens back there helping as well.
Well, what they were going to do is they were going to fake the out and then turn it upfield, and Nebraska defenders would have nothing to do with it. And Steve really just did kind of walk that one up like he did the other one, but the receiver was not there.
All right, 2nd down and 10. That was Art Guess, the receiver again, and going for another big play. 2nd and 10. Collins on the reverse, and that's Adrian Cooper trying to get outside. He has some yardage. Oh! Tripped up.
Pat Tyrants.
Pat Tyrants made perhaps a touchdown-saving tackle. You know, Adrian Cooper certainly does not have the speed of Keith Jackson, and I remember, what was it, 3 years ago that Jackson burned the Huskers so much on this tight end reverse. But there certainly was a lot of deception involved here.
And look at the ground he covers and just gets an arm on him and knocks him down, or you're right, that would have been 6.
All right, the Sooners facing 3rd and 1. He did not make a first down on that play. So another big 3rd down play coming up for Oklahoma. The handoff is to Perry, and he has a first down and more. Perry across midfield.
Nebraska is playing this same defense that worked so well against Oklahoma last year, where the linebacker is coming up and playing the quarterback on every option situation to the corner.
Of course, last year's defensive effort by Nebraska down in Norman was certainly one of the finest I've ever seen, as they beat the Sooners 7-3. 22-7 the score right now with less than a minute to go in the first quarter. As Collins calls the signals, he's at the 49-yard line. Collins pitching out here to Brewer. And Brewer has a little bit of room, has about 5 or 6 yards, brought down at the 43-yard line. So now the Sooners, Dan, seem to be settling down and asserting themselves a little bit.
Well, Merlin, I think you have seen that the Sooners have decided that they can't muscle Nebraska, that they can't run over them, so they're putting a little finesse in their offense, and that finesse, those finesse plays are working.
All right, we have 2nd down and 4, 20 seconds left to go here in this first quarter. Steve Collins directing the offense. Collins hands off to Brewer, and he is brought down by Mike Murray, the little big man, and he will be featured tomorrow on the Tom Osborne Show in our halftime feature. Quite a tackle there.
Be a short feature?
Boy, I didn't say that. I think you did. We're at the end of the first quarter here. The score is Nebraska 22 and Oklahoma here on Sports Video Productions. Welcome back to Memorial Stadium. We're about ready to start play here in the second quarter. A very wild opening first 15 minutes of play, 22-7. Nebraska leads. Oklahoma finds himself in a 3rd and 2 situation on the Nebraska 41. And Dan, even though the Huskers have the upper hand, I have a feeling that a blowout is not in the works quite yet.
I don't think so, no, not quite yet. But the way Nebraska has been playing on offense, it most certainly looms as a possibility.
All right, now this is one of the big plays in this early part of the game. 3rd down and 2 for the Sooners. Collins calling the signals. The handoff to Brewer. And Brewer has the first down and more. The ball is loose, but the referees will rule that it was down. All right, let's take a look at the stats from the first quarter. First downs, Nebraska with 8 and 140 total yards. The yardage is fairly even, Dan.
It really is, and Nebraska 4 of 5 throwing the ball. The only miss was the one that Jerry intentionally threw away.
Right. All right, a first down for the Sooners. They are marching the ball now. 1st and 10. And the 25 for Nebraska. The handoff is to Brewer, and he pounds ahead. I'll tell you what, for a freshman, this guy is running with lots of poise, and certainly has not taken the easy way in picking up those yards, Dan.
He really isn't. Of course, he's a big fellow, and after a few finesse plays, a reverse and some different type plays, now Oklahoma comes back and they're kind of pounding at Nebraska again, and it's working.
All right, we have a 2nd down and 6 for the Oklahoma Sooners. Dewell Brewer has been the big man on this drive. 2nd and 6 from the 21. Collins will keep on this one. Nice move again, but Tyrants is there to clean up. It's close to the 1st down. Boy, I tell you what, Tyrants, when he tackles you, there is no mistake about it.
He is Nebraska's leading tackler, and he is really pounding people today, as you're going to see on the replay here. There's no doubt about it. When he goes down, he goes down.
I'm very impressed with the way Collins runs this option as well, Dan.
Really, he's an exceptional runner, and has shown today that he can throw the ball also. It's just, you can't imagine the pressure on the guy out on the corner when he's got 2 people and has to make that decision whether he goes for the quarterback or whether he goes for the pitch man.
All right, the Sooners did pick up a 1st down there, and so they will have a 1st and 10 at the Nebraska 16 as they continue to march down the field. A very impressive drive thus far. Brewer once again the tailback. A fumble on the play, but I believe Collins covered up in time. But Dan, those are the types of plays that really stop drives.
They really are. I mean, the way Oklahoma is running the ball right now, you need all 3 of your downs picking up 3-4 yards on each down to move down the field and pick up another 1st down, so you get 4 more downs. And this one is just throwing it away.
That's a 2-yard loss, or, well, the scoreboard calls it a 1-yard loss. We'll call it 2nd down and 11 for the Sooners. Coming in is Eric Bross with a play. He's the wideout. He's also kind of a big play receiver. He's split out wide, and they have Adrian Cooper, the tight end, split out. So we have a very interesting formation here for the Sooners. Collins going nowhere. Excuse me.
It's the
Fumblerooski. Oh, a page out of Tom Osborne's playbook. That was number 54, Mike Sawatsky. And we're going to have to see a replay on this one.
The Fumblerooski, and it was completely a fake. Now, the guy that you were talking about, he just lets the ball drop. He picks it up, and off he goes. And it's the famous Fumblerooski that Tom Osborne put in. It comes back to haunt him.
Well, good job by the cameraman there in picking that up. 1st and goal to go at the 1-yard line for Oklahoma. The handoff is to Perry, and it's a touchdown, Oklahoma. Leon Perry takes it in from 1 yard out. And Dan, I cannot imagine a more entertaining game than we are seeing here this afternoon. The Huskers seem to have this one just about out of reach, and here comes Oklahoma with another big march.
Watch this again. Just powers it in, gets a little crack, and gets into the end zone.
Tell you what, just when you think it's safe to watch football, somebody comes up with that Fumblerooski again.
I know it, and I wonder what Osborne thinks about that.
All right, Dan, they're going for 2 points here. An interesting decision by the Sooners. And he makes it. Collins gets in for the touchdown, and now a very pivotal play because the Sooners are back within 7 points of Nebraska at 22-15. 12:45 left to go in the 1st half. Here's the replay of this, Dan.
Yes, he just puts it into the belly and pulls it back and goes on into the end zone. Now, you can tell there that most certainly the Oklahoma's coaching staff feels that it is going to be a high-scoring ball game. They thought they needed to get even and get even in a hurry.
And in the southwest corner of Memorial Stadium, we have the Oklahoma Sooner faithful, and they are making some noise. They haven't had much opportunity thus far, but they are right back in this ball game. Very impressive drive for Oklahoma, Dan. 12 plays, 75 yards. Leon Perry, of course, captained the drive, but it was set up by several nice plays. Steve Collins on the option, and the Fumblerooski by Sawatsky for the Sooners, and so it's a 22-15 ball game with 12:45 left in the 1st half. There you see Mr. Collins on the sidelines, and he has played an excellent ball game as well.
I started to say before the double extra point there that I wonder how Osborne feels when he brings a play to college football with his great innovative offensive mind, and then somebody else takes it and uses it against him. That's almost against the rules, isn't it, Merlin?
I'll tell you what, there are no copyright laws on football plays. Might be a copyright on the playbook, but you can lift anything you want, and they ran it to perfection there. All right, this is Brad Riddell, the freshman, kicking off. Let's see if he can make it to the end zone. That is Leotis Flowers, and he tried to field it, and then it goes out of the end zone. So Nebraska will take over at the 20-yard line. All right, here's another look at the touchdown play. Leon Perry, the fullback, he's a senior. He's been around a while, 6'1" and 230. And he's used to banging up front and takes it in. Interesting point, Dan, by Galen, our statistician. This drive started with a first down by penalty. So those little plays really do make a difference. The Sooners were facing a third down situation.
And I think it's really interesting that the Sooners chose to go for 2 there, knowing that that 1 point that we talked about before could really come back and hurt them.
All right, 1st and 10 at the 20 for the Huskers. Let's see what Mr. Gadowski can come up with. He has played a masterful game thus far. That's Ken Clark in motion. And it's Richard Bell on the sweep. Bell makes a nice move. He has some room. Oh, brought down. After a gain of about 6, I thought for a brief moment there that he was going to cut up to the outside, but some good pursuit on the play by the Sooners.
Well, I would hope that he would cut up to the outside and get a few more yards, and we'd see that high-stepping running style of his. Look at those knees come up there. Makes a nice cut and can't quite get loose to the outside here, but does pick up, 5 or 6 yards there.
All right, we have a 2nd down and 4 coming up for the Huskers. Power I formation now for Nebraska. Clark and Carpenter the setbacks. Nate Turner's a wingback. And the pitch is to Clark, looking for some room. He has some room, and he has a first down. Boy, that is just basic power football there, Dan.
Boy, did he follow the blocking extremely well. We had Wingard out there blocking in front of him, and he just stayed right in behind the big number 61. As you'll see here, he says, hey, big fella, just guard me through here. And he just stayed right in behind him and picked up the yardage we needed for the first down.
And Doug Glazer, the certain-to-be All-American lineman, with a nice hook block for Nebraska as well. And there we see Glazer going off the field. And I am not sure. We don't know if he's hurt or not. You can't see that on your screen right now, but that would be a big blow for Nebraska. The training staff will go over and try to administer to Doug Glazer. All right, it was a first down for Nebraska, though, and it's a 1st and 10 at the 32-yard line. Carpenter and Clark, the setbacks again, split out wide. We have Morgan Gregory and Richard Bell. Kratzenstein is in at a tight end. Gadowski hands off to Clark. Clark has some room, a good block, and Clark cuts upfield for about 5 or 6 yards.
And Glazer's coming right back on the field. It looked like he just had a little bit of tightness in his leg, and that was all. We'll see the replay here. As you mentioned, a good block out in front, makes that one block, and Clark just kind of ducks under and sets down on the carpet.
That was Terry Iman. Was that number 77, I believe? Terry Iman, the backup left tackle, who cleared the way for Clark. We have a 2nd and 4 situation. Nebraska at the 38, 22-15 with about 10:55 left to go in this first half. Gadowski hands off to Carpenter. Carpenter has a first down and more. Carpenter out across the 45-yard line, and Dan, that was very close to breaking all the way.
As I mentioned earlier on the other drive we were talking about, eventually, when he keeps pulling it back and pulling it back, he'll give it, and it'll bust for a big one. And I still predict that before this game is over, it'll bust for 20, 30 yards.
And that is what I believe Nebraska calls their read option series, where Gadowski, as you mentioned, had the option of pulling that ball out of Carpenter's belly and keeping it or pitching it. That time he chose to give it. And that is number 40 going off the field for Oklahoma with an injury. That's Reggie Barnes, their freshman weak side linebacker. So we have a 1st and 10 for Nebraska at the 47, and Oklahoma hasn't come close to stopping the Huskers yet. The power I formation, Morgan Gregory is split down low. That's Richard Bell going in motion now. Reverse, looks like a reverse coming up here. Bell is going to throw it. Oh! No, he's going to run with it, and he has some room. Richard Bell brought down at the 35-yard line.
What a play, what a game. And we've only
look at the replay on that one. You really need to pay attention to your screens on this game, folks, because you never know what's going to happen. Look at the action off this, Dan.
It's really something. Now the receiver is covered, and Bell showed really good reaction there in not throwing the ball, and then look at this run upfield. My goodness.
You have to remember, Dan, that Bell was an all-conference quarterback in high school, so it's kind of old times coming back for him there, scrambling out of the pocket. Huskers in the spread formation now, 1st and 10 from the 35. 10 minutes left to go in the second quarter. 22-15. Nebraska leads. Godowski looking to throw. Still looking. And he has. They Turner wide open. Turner inside the 20. Turner down to the 15.
Boy, what tremendous pass blocking there. If the pocket was there and Jerry had an opportunity to look at the first receiver, the second receiver, and then almost decided to run and then threw it out to the side, as you can see here. Look at this pass blocking. Nobody ever gets close enough to him to really bother him, and then he throws it out to the outlet guy here who is wide open.
It is also good to see Nate Turner back in action. Turner had missed quite a few games with an injury. Little mix-up in the Huskers lineup, but now they're ready and set to go in the power I formation, as you saw Coach Osborne looking on here. 1st and 10 from the 16-yard line. The pitch is to Clark. Not much doing out there. And he may have picked up a yard, but no more than that. A host of Sooners on the play. Chris Wilson, the left defensive end down there. Let's look at the replay on this, Dan.
Oklahoma really comes up and covers well here. They just smother the Nebraska blockers, hold them right at the line of scrimmage, then fight off of them and get out to the ball carrier.
And, of course, the sideline was certainly not helping out Mr. Clark at all on that play. There you have a look at the yardage, and both teams are putting up some big numbers thus far. The Huskers with the edge, over 200 yards in the game thus far. But Oklahoma is not far behind. We have a 2nd down and 9 at the 15. 9:22 left to go here in the first half. That's Turner in motion. Godowski running the option. The pitch to Ken Clark, and oh, what a pitch by Jerry Godowski. I don't know how many times we can keep extolling his praises, Dan, but he is a master on this option.
Boy, you call him the magician, and he most certainly is on this one. He is on his way down and just flips it out there perfectly. Watch this. He's getting tackled, flips it out perfectly, and right there Clark is, and goes on down for over another 5 yards. That last stat said Nebraska had 93 yards passing, and if that is correct, Jerry has reached the 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards passing. Only the 6th quarterback ever to do that in college football.
All right, we have a 3rd down and 1 at the 7-yard line for Nebraska. Godowski hands off to Clark, and it's going to be close. I think that last spin move by Ken may have done it.
Yes, I do too. I believe he picked it up by about a half yard.
I think, Dan, that Godowski has over 1,000 yards passing. He needs 70-some for the rushing to get 1,000 yards rushing.
Correct.
So, but he does have over 2,000 yards in total offense. Let's see where they place the ball here. Just shy of the 5-yard line from where we are, Dan. It appears to be a 1st down, but they are going to call for a measurement.
1st down by half a yard.
The crowd, I think they're booing the fact that they have to measure this one, because I think just about everybody believes it is a 1st down, but a game like this, you don't want to take any chances. And you were right, Dan. I mean, that wasn't even close.
After Colorado, though, of course, the Nebraska fans will boo the officials' call on anything.
That's right. Anybody in a striped shirt would not be on Christmas invitations in Nebraska this year. No offense to all you referees out there. It just has been a tough couple of weeks for Nebraska fans. 1st and goal to go then for Nebraska at the 5. They're knocking on the door once again. 22-15 they lead. Carpenter, Clark, and Turner in the backfield. Godowski calling the signals. 1st down and goal. Godowski running the option. The pitch is to Clark. Clark cuts upfield. And that time the option was played very well by the Sooners. He's brought down at about the 3-yard line.
Boy, it looked like almost there was a face mask, because that arm flashed out there and caught something, the Oklahoma defender, but don't know what it was. We'll see it here. See actually what he gets a hold of when he makes the tackle here. Good pitch again by Jerry, and watch it. Whoa, just got the back of the helmet. That's what it was.
Close. It was very close. Clark still able to pick up 3 yards, and we have a 2nd and goal from the 3-yard line. Jerry Godowski signaling for this Memorial Stadium crowd to give him a chance to call the signals. Once again, we have Clark and Kaufman in the backfield. Richard Bell is also back there with them. Gadowski running the option. Gadowski. He's going to be dropped. That is Chris Wilson breaking free there. And dropping Gadowski back behind the 5-yard line, back at about the 7.
You'll see a great defensive play by Oklahoma here. They really string it out downfield, and Jerry has no place to go. Reaches out and gets him by the toes, and down he goes.
You do have to give them credit that time, man, because they played the option as well as you can play it defensively. So we have a 3rd and goal from the 7 now. Let's look and see if Gadowski doesn't roll out to the right side here and maybe try to throw this into the end zone.
One of the tight ends.
All right, there it is. He's going for Gregory. Oh, and it's knocked away at the last second by Kevin Thompson. A nice defensive play.
I'm sure Jerry looked out there at the line of scrimmage and saw he had single coverage, and of course that's just a reaction. Both the quarterback and the receiver know there's single coverage, and Jerry threw it right on the money, but a good play again there by the Oklahoma defender.
Kevin Thompson is the lone senior among the top 8 defensive backs for Oklahoma. And that's going to set up a field goal situation for Nebraska. Greg Barrios is in. He is 4 of 5 this year, and he is their short-range kicker. Let's see what he can do here. The snap is high, but the kick is up, and it is good. So Greg Barrios puts Nebraska on the board with 3 more points. And the Huskers take a 25-15 lead with 7:17 left to play here in the first half.
And it's absolutely remarkable that Nebraska has 2 field goal kickers, a short kicker and a long kicker. And this year, Nebraska is 12 out of 13 on field goals. Now, that is a percentage that you don't often see in college football.
Of course, Chris Drennan handles the long kicks, and he has 4 of 6 this year and has kicked a field goal as long as 55. Barrios is the short man and the extra point man. As he said, Dan, that is a great luxury for the Huskers to have. Well, it's a very impressive drive for Nebraska, even if they did not get into the end zone. 12 plays and 80 yards. And Barrios, of course, capping that with the 24-yard field goal. 7:17 left to go here in the second quarter. And Dan, I guess the big play of that drive from a defensive standpoint obviously was that option play. Nebraska had 2nd and 3 and just could not push it across.
Oftentimes, of course, Tom likes to go back to the weak side on that play, and the reason is, of course, there are less defenders over there. He chose that time to go to the strong side of the field, and Oklahoma just gobbled it up.
It's kind of interesting. One of the coaches was telling you this week that the Sooner defense is rarely fooled. Now, we've seen them fooled a couple times, but certainly on that goal line stand, they rose to the occasion. All right, Drennan is ready to kick it off here into a stiff breeze. We'll have to see how far he can get this ball. Brewer and Otis Taylor, and that is going to be Brewer at the 10-yard line. Brewer out to the 20, and Brewer trips and falls, is brought down just short of the 30-yard line. In on the play there for Nebraska, number 43, and that is Shane Geiken, a linebacker from Gothenburg, I believe it is. All right. 1st and 10 at the 28-yard line for the Oklahoma Sooners, and they were very impressive in their last march. We'll have to see just how far they can go this time around and see if the Nebraska Blackshirts can tighten things up a bit. Steve Collins calling the signals. A handoff to Brewer again, and Brewer pounds forward. He has about 3 or 4 yards. You know, it's interesting. Brewer's longest gain this year, Dan, is only 15 yards, even though he is big and fast. So it seems that he is the type of power back that can continue this type of play.
I can tell you if his longest gain is 15 yards, he probably has a dozen bruises on his body. Ain't no doubt about that, because he just pounds up in there.
Last week he carried it 38 times, and as you see in the graphic, the most since Steve Owens, the Heisman Trophy winner, carried way back in the 70s. So, all right, we have a 2nd down and 7 to go. Collins will keep it. Collins cuts upfield. I believe he's short of the 1st down.
It seems like, as you mentioned a while ago, that Oklahoma cannot waste a play on any of the 3 they have. I don't know how many times so far in the ballgame they've come up 3rd down and 2, 3rd down and 1, 3rd down and 3. And as you mentioned, on their long sustained drive, it was a offsides by Nebraska or encroachment that gave them the 1st down that started that drive.
Mike Kroll did a fine job there playing off the block of Adrian Cooper to make the tackle. All right, 6 minutes left to go here in the first half. 25-15 Nebraska. The Sooners in the familiar wishbone. The handoff is to the fullback. And it's going to be very close. I believe he may have it. It just depends on the spot. And it looks like where the linesman is pointing that it will indeed be a first down. And yes, they are moving the chains. That was Leon Perry, the veteran fullback. And it's kind of strange, Dan. We haven't seen that wishbone much today.
No, really haven't. And it looks odd to see Oklahoma on the field and not in the wishbone, throwing the ball with a lot of finesses and reverses and all that. But most certainly, I think Oklahoma made the decision a few years ago that they had to adapt their offense and could not just stay right in that wishbone. Certainly with the athletes they recruit down there, I think the versatility they're getting out of the I formation will suit them much better once they get it down. All right, Collins pitching out here to Brewer, and Brewer has some room. And Brewer is out to the 45, and this could really turn out to be a battle between Jerry Godowski and Steve Collins, both quarterbacks right now running this option to perfection. And it might turn out which one can stay on the field, because Collins is getting pounded. As you see Kroll hit him there, Collins is getting pounded on every play. Randall Jobin came over to make the tackle for Nebraska, and it's a 2nd down and 5 at the 45-yard line there. The Sooners break out of the wishbone, and they have a receiver split out wide. That is Ted Long, split out wide. The handoff is to Brewer, and the Nebraska defense there to meet him. Just a moment ago, you saw a quick shot of Gibbs, the Oklahoma coach, and he doesn't look much older than a player, let alone to be a head coach. I think he is only, what, 36, 37 years old? That's right, and he's better looking than you are, Dan, believe it or not. That's incredible if he is. We're quite a distance away, so maybe my eyes are deceiving me. All right, we have a 3rd down and 4, another 3rd down situation for the Sooners. They're at the 46. Once again, they break out of the wishbone formation. Ted Long split out to the right. Collins calling the play. He's going to throw it. The pressure is on. Let's see if he can get outside. He does. He has a first down. Nice heads-up play by Steve Collins. The pocket broke down, but of course, an athlete like that has the speed to get outside, and he stepped out of bounds just on the other side of the first down marker. He was very well aware of where he had to go to. Yes, I'm sure Kroll will know that. Yes, Kroll will get talked about that. Getting out of containment, coming too quick, coming too hard to the inside, and letting Collins get to the outside. So the Sooners have been very proficient here in the 2nd quarter on their 3rd down plays. And they have a 1st and 10 at the Nebraska 49. The handoff is to Perry, and he has some room. Leon Perry cutting upfield inside the 40. And he is very close to a first down. I don't like the way this is developing. A very strong Sooner drive to go down and get their 15th point. And now they come back with their next drive, and they're going very steadily down the field. And you don't like to see Oklahoma be able to control the ball. Dan, you know, you can play what if all you want. It would be interesting if Steve Collins had had a little experience under his belt in that Colorado game to see what the Sooners might have done against the Buffaloes. 2nd and 1. The handoff is to Brewer. He has the first down. Ball carried by Brewer. Brewer is really, thus far, certainly not a spectacular runner, but is getting the job done. And boy, he is getting up slower and slower every time. He really is, and the important thing about this is if Nebraska could get one more score, in other words, get their 10 points ahead, if they could get 15 or so points ahead, Oklahoma would not be able to do this type of ball control in the 2nd half. All right, they line up in the wishbone again. Steve Collins calling the signals on 1st and 10. Reverse going with the reverse. This is Cooper. A nice block on Mike Kroll. That time Kroll did play the containment very well, but Cooper cut inside of his block. And I don't know how often the Sooners ran this play during the year. But they've had pretty good success on it thus far. There you see Kroll playing it pretty well, but boy, I tell you what, he has a big man in Turan Manning, 6'2" and 280 out there blocking for him. And he actually lost about 1.5 yards there because he got hammered backward very strong and had to struggle to stay on his feet, and lost about 1 yard, 1.5 yards, and he's still down on the sideline, isn't he? Looks like they're working on some player. We can't tell. I believe he is still down right there on the sideline. Adrian Cooper, who is a big tight end. He is 6'6" and 250 pounds. He's a junior and continues that tradition of
The tight end at Oklahoma being an extension of that offensive line. They certainly had some big tight ends over the past few years there. Here's another angle on this play, Dan.
You see it again coming around, taking the pitch in the air, and of course that looks just like a pitch to the back in the backfield, but they are.
Right.
It looks like, yes, looks like he pulls a muscle there, and he's holding up. It's either an ankle or a knee, and as they tell us from the truck, it does look like a knee, most certainly.
So the Sooners will have to rely on a freshman as Cooper's replacement, 82, Joey Mickey, who has split out wide. And the Sooners are throwing every formation in the book at the Huskers thus far. Second down and 5. Collins on the option. Cuts the field. He has some room. Collins is finally brought down from behind by Jeff Mills. Collins carries it down just short of the 10-yard line.
And Collins really made a couple of Nebraska defenders grab at air there as he went by. Some great moves here, as you see on the replay again. Watch this move right here. I'm here, no I'm not.
Boy.
I'm here, no I'm not. So he really has some offensive moves.
And credit Jeff Mills coming all the way from the other side to make that tackle. There you see the total yards. The Sooners have moved ahead again of Nebraska as the yards continue to pile up in this game. First and 10 from the 12-yard line. Collins is brought down from behind. That is Kent Wells.
Strongest Nebraska player other than the short man we were talking about a while ago. And of course, the pros are really looking at Mr. Wells for a professional football player, and he just battles through the line there and catches Collins around the feet before he can get going.
Now, Wells is 6'5" and 280 and has fine speed for a man his size, and certainly, as you mentioned, the pro scouts have to be interested in him. Second down and 13 from the 15-yard line. Just over 2 minutes left to go here in the first half. 25-15 Nebraska. Collins almost got down in the backfield, and he finally is. Chris Caliendo, the senior linebacker, makes the play.
And that was Mike Kroll who was in there first. Mike forced the play, and then Caliendo came over and finished with Kroll helping out. You'll see Kroll coming to the picture right here and just spins off, but he pushed him far enough in the backfield that Caliendo was able to come up and make the play, and you see Kroll coming back in.
So just as Oklahoma tightened up when Nebraska was knocking on the door, so the Nebraska defense is doing that. The Blackshirts playing very well, and there's a third and 14 from the 16-yard line. Let's see what the Sooners come up with here. Long and Ross are split out wide. Collins claims he can't hear, and the referee will stop play. It's an official's timeout.
An official is telling him right now, he's in his face saying, son, get up to the line of scrimmage and snap that ball. It is only going to get worse. I don't think it was that loud at that point.
No, we've heard it worse here in Memorial Stadium, although close to that north end zone, it might have been a little different story. In any event, still a third down situation for the Sooners. And of course, Collins, the way he plays, we might not realize this, he is just a freshman, man.
Unbelievable that you say that so many times about Oklahoma. He is only a freshman, and as I predicted, it's only going to get worse unless he snaps that ball.
All right, that's Ted Long in motion. And Collins will go to pass. Looking. He has some running room. Collins brought down by Kroll and Jeff Mills, and he is far short of the first down. And so the Sooners will have to go for the field goal. And Dan R.D. Lasher will come in for the field goal. It seems to me that there's been a Lasher on an Oklahoma team for about the past 20 years.
You're correct on that. And as you see Collins here holding up, he didn't have anybody throw the ball to, pulling up and going downfield and getting hammered hard again.
Okay, the kick is going to come from the 16, which will make it a 26-yard kick, and he'll have the wind with him. A little bit of an angle for Lasher. The kick is in the air, and it is good. So the Sooners match three-pointers with the Huskers. And with 44 seconds left to go here in the first half, the score is Nebraska 25 and Oklahoma 18.
That was a difficult angle, Merlin. A real difficult kick. And as you said, he did have the wind behind him. But of course, with that angle, the wind can prove a little bit to the difficulty there of that kick. But boy, he banged it right through the middle.
Certainly. And on the stadium floor, if you've ever been on the sidelines during a game, you know that just swirls back and forth. There you see Coach Gibbs probably discussing that crowd noise situation. I'm not sure, but maybe he just wants to get things straight what the procedure is for the freshman quarterback. That really could have been disastrous for Oklahoma on that play if Collins had made a mistake at that time.
And you see the Oklahoma tight end, looks like he's going into the dressing room, and he is moving very gingerly on that knee. What he did there is, as we see the cameraman following in here, is when you are knocked off balance like that, as you can see here in the slow-mo that's going to be coming up, when you're knocked off balance there, you have a tendency to straighten your leg out.
Right.
You straighten your leg out, and then that really pops that knee together, and I think that's what he did.
All right, we're back on the play that Cooper was injured on, I believe. This is the tight end reverse. There
watch here. See there? On that last step he took there, he straightened his leg out and popped that knee.
All right. Brad Riddell in the kickoff for the Sooners. That kick will not make it to the end zone, and that's Leotis Flowers at about the 5-yard line. Flowers out to the 20 and is brought down just short of the 25-yard line.
With only 38 seconds left to go here before the half, I think Nebraska will come out and probably run on first down. Probably run some sort of option thing. If they pick up 6 or 7 yards and get up past the 30-yard line, then I think you might see them throw it a couple of times before the half. But if they only pick up a couple of yards, then you'll probably see them just run out the clock.
Dan, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember a punt yet in this first half.
Only one by Oklahoma.
One by Oklahoma, that's right. But Hughes made the return on. 1st and 10 now for the Huskers. The handoff is to Clark on the draw. And he is up to about the 28.
I think this will give them enough time now to maybe take a couple of shots. The clock runs down to 20, 27, 26. We see it on the replay here again. This is the sprint draw. Comes up, is knocked down, and it doesn't look like Nebraska's too anxious to get anything off here.
Well, you go in with the touchdown lead, 25-18. The wind is blowing in your face. You certainly don't want to throw an interception at this point in time, although they do have 2 wideouts here. Let's see what type of play he comes up with. It's another draw play to Clark. And that is going to end the half. And what a first half of action it was. Memorial Stadium crowd on its feet cheering both teams as they leave. And the score here at the end of the first half. Nebraska 25 and the Oklahoma Sooners 18. Stay with us for more. We'll be back in just a little bit here with the second half. Welcome back to Lincoln, Nebraska Memorial Stadium. It's halftime here at Nebraska, and the Nebraska Cornhuskers leading the Oklahoma Sooners by a score of 25-18. We're about 20 minutes from the second half kickoff, and Dan Livingston, this is really one of the most exciting first halves of football I've ever seen.
Well, with the numbers we have here, the amount of points that have been scored, 43 points, and in the total offense, we have almost 465 yards in total offense.
All right. There you hear it, a very offensive first half. Offensive-minded. It was not offensive to me. I enjoyed it very much. Maybe it was offensive to Charlie McBride. He didn't want to see that many points put up on the board. Sooners are ready to kick off. This is Brad Riddell on the kick. And Leotis Flowers going deep into the end zone. And that one goes out of the end zone. And so Nebraska will take over on their own 20-yard line. Score here is Nebraska 25 and Oklahoma 18. 15 minutes left to go. Just a couple of stats that might be interesting, Dan. Jerry Godowski is 5 of 7 for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let's see, we have Ken Clark with 56 yards on 13 carries. And Richard Bell, 3 yards on 37 carries. We're ready to go here now at the start of the second half. 25-18, Nebraska leading. Jerry Godowski calls the signals. And here we go. Richard Bell in motion. Godowski pitches to Clark. He has some room. Ken Clark out close to the first down, and he has the first down. And that is the way to start off this second half, Dan Livingston. Okay, let's take a look at the stats from the first half before we show some other plays. There you see very even, Dan, in a lot of areas. In fact, running and passing, not much difference between either team.
Oh, it does look extremely even, and probably the big difference there is 82 yards in Oklahoma in passing.
All right, possession time fairly close. The Sooners had the best of it there. Nebraska with a first down, though, and they will have a 1st and 10 at the 31-yard line. Jerry Godowski calls the signals. He has had a great first half. The pitch out is the Clark looking for running room. He turns the corner, and he is out to about the 37-yard line.
Boy, that is really something to see to start the second half there. First play picks up about 11 yards. Now this play picks up 8 yards, and they're really just student body right, student body left. You see Carpenter flying in there making a tackle. The tight end is out there. They get a couple of good blocks, and he picks up about 8 yards.
And Dan, that is a good point. After all the trickery and trick plays we observed in the first half, the Huskers have come out with their bread and butter, which is that pitch play to the I-back. Nate Turner now is the third member of that backfield, along with Brian Carpenter and Ken Clark, as we have a 2nd down and 2 at the 39-yard line. This time it's Brian Carpenter, and he moves for a 1st down. Brian Carpenter picking up 5 yards on the play, and Dan, we'll have to see if your theory about Brian breaking a long one comes true this afternoon.
Well, that was breaking one long enough for the 1st down, and that was the important thing on that, but 3 plays, 2 first downs.
I know that Tom in last week's show mentioned the fact that he'd like to get Brian more yards, and he has had a little more running room here in the Oklahoma game. 1st and 10 at the 44, Nebraska. 14 and a half minutes left to go in this third quarter. 25-18, the Huskers leading the Sooners. And the Huskers stay in that power I formation. Ken Clark, that time, the blocking did not develop the way he wanted, and there goes the referee. Given the attitude of Nebraska fans toward the striped shirts, a little bit of a cheer went up, Dan.
Yes, a big cheer for the tackle on the referee. You see an Oklahoma player flying in there and kind of broke the play up. They stand up Clark and start pushing him back and right into the referee, and he gets it, but not hard. Not hard. That wasn't a hard tackle on the referee.
That was Jason Belzer, a sophomore defensive strong safety, who made that play, and a fine defensive play it was. So we have a 2nd down and 12 situation. It's the first time the Sooners have stopped the Huskers here on this drive in the second half. Godowski will throw it. Looking downfield, he has his man. That's John Bostic. John with a 1st down at about the 42-yard line.
Boy, a nice throw there as Bostic made a real good move and had got free by about 5 yards, and Jerry just hits him on the numbers here. See Jerry going back, setting up straight in the straight drop, and then just dropping the ball over the middle, and you can see there that Bostic had got into the open. Great throw, great catch.
John probably a little disappointed he didn't go all the way on that one.
That's right, it brings his average down.
All right, we have a 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line. About 13 minutes left to go in this quarter. The Huskers are on the move. Carpenter and Clark, the setbacks for Nebraska. And we run the option again. This time Godowski wisely decides not to pitch the ball. The Sooners strung that out and ended up, looked like a 1-yard loss for Nebraska.
The Sooners have played it extremely well when they go back to the strong side of the field. As I mentioned before, of course, there are more defenders over there, and almost every time they've stretched it out like this.
That was Joe Bowden, the backup strong side linebacker, who made the play there, number 45. And that'll set up a 2nd down and 10. No gain on that play. Nate Turner is in the backfield. John Bostic split out wide for the Huskers. Godowski rolls out looking for Bostic. Wide open! Bostic at the 30, the 25, and brought down at the 23-yard line. Dan, I mean, our vantage point is a very good one, but I could not believe how open Bostic was on that play.
He is really giving him some room. I mean, the Oklahoma defender out there on the corner, he is well 5 or 6 yards off of him, as you see there. More than that, more like 10 yards off of him, and Bostic makes another big pickup.
All right, the Huskers continue to march as Godowski is now 7 of 9 throwing the ball. 1st and 10 at the Oklahoma 24-yard line. Bostic is split out to the left. There's that Chip Foss split outside there. And we have Clark and Carpenter in the backfield again. The pitch is to Clark. Clark looking for some room. Not much there. The Sooners are playing the run very well, but maybe they're paying the price, Dan, in that the Husker passing game has been so effective in this ball game.
Osborne always does it, of course, but the calling in this ball game, the calling of the plays in this ball game has just been marvelous. He comes out the first 2 plays and goes student body left, student body right, brings the defenders up. They know they have to cover the run, and then he pops a couple of big passes over the middle. The play calling from the first play in this ball game has just been tremendous.
And that it has. You certainly can't argue with the results. The Huskers up 25-18, and they are marching 2nd and 9 at the 23-yard line. Gudowski looking to throw. He's looking. He has a man in the end zone. Garrett has it. Chris Garrett, touchdown, Nebraska. Chris Garrett on the option pass from Jerry Gudowski. And the Huskers are on the board here in the second half. And now we indeed can call Garrett missed a touchdown, Dan.
We really can. He is wide open again, as you mentioned. And every time they stretch it out, you see a tight angle of Jerry here, and he just pulls up and fires it, the Polish rifle down the field. Now we're going to we'll see a wider angle coming up after the extra point here.
Okay, Greg Barrios in to attempt the extra point for Nebraska. And the kick is good. 32-18, the Huskers are on top. Barrios is now 82 of 82 in his last 82 attempts. A very good percentage. And then the Huskers, for a while it seemed like Oklahoma had seized the momentum there late in the first half. The Huskers grab it right back here at the start of the 3rd quarter.
It really is something. They have just marched down the field, and you hear this said by a lot of colored people, so I'll go ahead and say it again to make me seem like I know what I'm talking about. That was a very important drive. Of course it was. As you mentioned, to go back out and take control of the ball game and put that spread back out there to 2 touchdowns at least. But Nebraska went down the field there as impressive as I have seen them all year long against any opponent.
And I, once again, to reiterate what we said before, I am shocked at the looseness of the Sooner secondary. I mean, there have been very few plays where the Husker receivers have been covered. A very impressive drive, 80 yards in 9 plays. Chris Garrett catching a 23-yard pass from Gudowski, and Gudowski was 3 of 3 passing for 59 yards on that drive. And there you see the score, the time remaining here in Lincoln, Nebraska, 32-18. The Huskers lead the Sooners, 11:42 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Chris Drennan now into kickoff for Nebraska, and deep we have Otis Taylor and Duell Brewer for the Oklahoma Sooners. There's the kick. It's going to be a little bit short again. That is Taylor at about the 13-yard line. Taylor has a seam, and he loses the ball. It's loose. And I believe that's going to be Oklahoma's ball because nobody regained possession on that.
They marked it down. They marked it down. Now we're going to see the touchdown again from Jerry Gudowski here. A little fake in the backfield, and he rolls, which pulls everybody up. And look how open he is again. My goodness.
And Dan, I guess we can see the reason why the Husker receivers are so open off that play action. I don't think Oklahoma maybe has ever seen anything like that this season. Certainly the inexperienced secondary not reacting the way you think that they would. All right, 11:35 left to go. The Sooners have it at the 37 off that nice return by Otis Taylor. That is 10 long in motion. The pitch goes to Brewer. Brewer trying to get outside. It looked like he had a hole, but it closed quickly. Randall Jobman, one of those in there.
Randall Jobman did an extremely good job there of taking on the blocker and just stopping the blocker right there and also making the tackle. He just straightened up the blocker, pushed the blocker off, and made the tackle.
Of course, Jobman filling in for Mike Petco, the sophomore sensation, who is out with a knee injury. Jobman is one of the co-captains, a senior from Oshkosh, and he is certainly very experienced. 2nd down and 7 for the Sooners. Collins with a nice pitch to Brewer, but to no avail. Finally, Jobman wraps up Mr. Brewer. And the Sooners are going to face a key 3rd down situation. And this Memorial Stadium crowd is getting into this one, man.
They really are. Everybody's up on their feet, and they're going. As you see the replay here, you see that Pro firing in there again and taking down Collins. And there were so many Nebraska defenders over here that they couldn't get out of it and stop them. Big 3rd down. Big 3rd down.
You have to give Pro credit there. He really disrupted the timing of that option. Now it's 3rd down and 6 for the Sooners. They've been successful in the past. In the first half they were. That's 10 long in motion. Collins is looking to throw. There's nobody open. And he just throws it away. Ted Long was trying to get to the outside, but Boy, there was no go there. Reggie Cooper on the coverage. And the bottom line, the Husker Black Shirts hold the Sooners on their first series. And Brad Riddell will have to come in and punt for Oklahoma.
Well, it looks like Oklahoma in those series are going to have to get more than 2 people out in the pattern, and they only had 2 people out that time.
They certainly did not give Mr. Collins much of a choice as far as the receivers. All he could do was loft it long. All right, here's Riddell on the punt. That's Tyrone Hughes. Hughes at the 8. Some nice blocks, but he is going to be brought down after about a 2-yard return. So the Huskers will take over after that fine punt by Brad Riddell. A 51-yard punt. Of course, that was with the wind and a 2-yard return. So the Sooners get the best of that exchange, but the Husker offense is back on the field. And really, Oklahoma, if you think about it, Dan, has not been able to stop Nebraska yet.
They really haven't. Of course, Nebraska hasn't done much of stopping them yet either, but Nebraska's just been able to move the ball and move the ball and move the ball. Now that we're back out to a 2-touchdown lead, what you'd want to see Nebraska do now is take this ball, the 87 or 88 yards they have, and take about 9 or 10 minutes off that clock in doing so.
And I think Tom Osborne has to be pleased. As you mentioned, his scheme of plays today has almost worked to perfection.
Well, Tom usually, as we say, charts the first 25 plays, and that they put those down and say, these are the plays that we're going to call from the beginning. And when those 25 are gone, then he goes in and starts calling those that have worked and repeating. Now, what they do when they chart those 25 plays is they do it purposely against certain Oklahoma defenses because they want to see how the defense reacts, and then they react to that.
Whatever he's done, it's working thus far. And the Huskers will bring it up here on the 12-yard line, 1st and 10 with about 10 minutes left to go here in the 3rd quarter. 32-18, Nebraska leads. There's a handoff. I believe that was Sam Schmidt in at fullback, and he goes for a couple of yards. An interesting stat handed to us, Dan, that Nebraska has scored every time they've had the ball, except for that drive at the end of the first half where they decided to run it instead of pass. And Mike Stiggy has been a very lonely man, the punter. No punts this afternoon.
And in fact, he has been a lonely punter all year long. I mean, he probably doesn't have a dozen punts in the season.
32-18 the score, 9:20 left to go here in this 3rd quarter. A 2nd down and 8 situation coming up for Nebraska. Chip Baugh split out to the far side, and we have Nate Turner split out to the near side. Godowski calling the signals. Clark and Carpenter in the backfield. The handoff, or the pitch to Clark. He has the running room. Clark getting up close to the 1st down, and he was met very hard there.
Boy, that is just tremendous hitting on both sides of the ball there, and Clark bangs up in there. We're going to see the replay here. Another fine pitch and fake. Clark picks up the ball and bang, right ahead there. Gets a couple of good shots, but they say he picked up the 1st down.
That was Kevin McMichael, number 12, that gave him the last how do you do, but it didn't matter. As you mentioned, Dan, is another 1st down for Nebraska. And this really is an offensive machine the Huskers have put together this afternoon. All right, we're out in the I formation. Godowski with Carpenter and Clark behind him. Bell and Gregory are the wideouts. 1st and 10 from the 22-yard line. The handoff is to Clark, and not much doing there. Stacy Dillard, number 77, Dante Williams, the nose guard, among the host of Sooner tacklers greeting Mr. Clark.
Clark chose to break that back to the weak side that time. Thought he saw a hole over there, but that hole closed quickly, and he only picked up about 1.5 yards.
All right, Ken Clark thus far in the ball game, 84 yards on 19 carries, and none of those yards has come very easily for the senior from Omaha Bryant. All right, we have a 2nd down and 8 from the 24. John Bostic split out wide, and Nate Turner split out left. Carpenter and Clark to setbacks. Godowski looking to throw. He has a man open. It's Nate Turner. Turner at the 45 and brought down at the 47. This is just phenomenal the way the Husker offense has moved here in this ball game. Nate Turner wide open, crossing over from the far side of the field, Dan.
Yes, and here's a man that they questioned earlier in the year of whether he could throw the ball. Man, he has been right on target, but boy, what a great catch there also.
Nate Turner, 220 pounds, and he is a load to bring down after he catches the ball. So the Huskers are at their 47 now with a 1st and 10. They're in the spread formation. Brian Carpenter, the lone setback. Let's see if we have a reverse here. Well, we have Brian Carpenter up the middle. I think I'm going to quit trying the my-handed play calling, Dan. Tom's doing a pretty good job.
Yes, he really is, and he keeps pounding Carpenter in there, and of course what that does, it lets the Oklahoma defense know that they've got to stay at home inside and play it. If they don't, and Carpenter's going to break a big one, and then Tom will come back with either that cut underneath on the pass pattern. I think that's what we'll see this time.
All right, we have the spread formation again, 2nd down and 8 from the 49-yard line. Bostic to the top of your screen, and Gregory split out wide to the bottom. Here's the double reverse. That's Nate Turner. Turner has some room and is close to the 1st down. Oh, yes, the way they mark the ball. He has the 1st down by a couple of yards.
I'm sure Oklahoma did not even know that Nebraska had this much diversion or this much deception in their playbook.
I was going to say, Dan, that has to be tough if you're a defender, no matter how talented, with all the things that are being thrown at them right now.
And did you see who was on the bottom out front blocking there? Jerry Kanowski.
The guy does it all. He's probably selling tickets before the game. Jake Young leaving the field for Nebraska now, perhaps with an injury. David Adil now in at center, number 58 for Nebraska. 1st and 10 at the Oklahoma 41 as the Huskers continue to move the football. Kanowski keeps, escapes the tackler. He has some room. The pitch. Oh! That is probably the first bad decision that Jerry Gadowski has made all afternoon, and he knows it.
Well, what a great play there by the Sooner defender. He actually hits this ball in the air and knocks it down, and it bounces right back up to him. Watch this.
Greg DeQuazy. Yeah, that is. And he did almost intercept that pitch out. And you wonder if perhaps Ken Clark was not trailing the play as much as he should have, because Jerry had to pitch that out in front of him. In any event, that is a turnover. The Huskers have stopped themselves, and the Sooners have the ball 1st and 10 on the Nebraska, or on their own 29-yard line. 7 minutes left to go here in the 3rd quarter. The Memorial Stadium faithful chanting defense. Ted Long in motion now. The pitch is to Brewer. There's a reverse, and the Huskers have smelled this one out. Long is going nowhere. And Dan, really, from our viewpoint, that was not particularly well executed.
It was not. I don't think, although the Nebraska defenders are very, very good, I don't think there could have been that many of them there. You kind of read this thing from the beginning. I think the guy who ends up with the ball here started a little early,
right,
and was looking in, and Nebraska just smothered it.
And Brewer, the initial ball carrier, kind of pounded the ball out in front of him as if he was going to do something with it. That's a loss of 6, and the Sooners will face 2nd and 16. The crowd into it now. There's nothing more fun for a Nebraska audience than to be whipping up on Oklahoma. The pitch is to Brewer. He has some room. And is brought down by Reggie Cooper on the outside. And that was Mike Murray somehow coming over there from his middle guard position and making the stop.
Boy, he covers a lot of ground here, but this is a well-executed play, and the pitch, you see Collins get it again. But you're right, Murray comes over here, and the shortest guy on the field keeps moving and pursues the play and makes the tackle. Big 3rd down here, 3rd and 3.
All right, 3rd and 3. It seems like the Sooners have faced this situation many times before in this game. Last time the Huskers stopped them. Let's see what happens here. The handoff is to Brewer. And I believe that he has the 1st down. The Sooners had 2 people spread out wide on either side of the field trying to spread the Husker defense, and it may have worked. But this is going to be very close, Dan.
Yes, it is. In fact, the marker people were already about ready to move the flags before they looked at the officials. Now they do move them, and it is a 1st down.
All right, the Sooners pick up a key 1st down there, just barely, but they keep the drive alive. The clock's still ticking away, and that is definitely in Nebraska's favor at this point. 32-18, Nebraska leading this game. There you see the rushing totals. The Sooners and Nebraska pretty much matching each other in that regard. The big advantage for Nebraska in the passing game. Here is Collins pitching out to Brewer. Brewer gets a great block and moves outside. Finally brought down on the outside by Tyrone Bird. But certainly some nice blocking here, Dan.
Very nice blocking, a good pitch, and Collins gets it again. A nice block right there.
That was Leon Perry, the fullback, and he crunched Tahan Lewis, who came up doing his job really and forcing the play, but it was just too fine of a block to overcome. Second down and 1. As the Sooners continue to march the football down the field. Power football, the name of the game thus far. Collins looking to throw. Under pressure, he goes deep. It could be intercepted. It is! It is! That's Tahan Lewis on the return. He has some running room. Tahan Lewis finally brought down in midfield. So the Sooners went away from that power game. I think they tried to catch Nebraska napping there, Dan.
And that was an extremely bad throw. He threw that ball up. There were 3 people back there covering him. And then Tahan Lewis cut underneath and picked it off. But there was no chance of having that ball complete.
Well, there was some definite pressure put on the quarterback, and I think that may have been a freshman mistake there, if you will. He, as you mentioned, should have thrown that ball, and the end result, Nebraska gets back. The 2 teams exchange turnovers, and the Huskers pick up where they left off. They are in Oklahoma territory, 1st and 10. 5.5 minutes left to go here in the 3rd quarter.
Let's see if Tom tries to catch him napping here.
Clark and Carpenter, the setbacks. Bell also in the backfield. Gadowski keeps it. Not much room there. And he is dropped for a loss, if anything.
Tackled by Wilson.
Go ahead, Dan.
See the interception here as he just flings this, and you're exactly right. He was under pressure. He just throws it downfield, and look at the defenders there. There are 3 Nebraska players. There was another one there. Good run back here by Tahan Lewis. Even switches the ball like a running back and goes on downfield there.
Tahan letting the blockers set up a little bit for him. And it's a 2nd down and 10. Now the Husker defense has done their job. The offense needs to get in gear here. Turner split out wide along with John Bostic at the top of your screen. It's Clark and Carpenter, the setbacks. Gadowski calling the signals for the Huskers. Gadowski hands off to Clark. Clark almost got past Dante Williams, but that's a tough chore. The senior nose guard brought him down after a couple of yards, and so that will set up a 3rd down play.
I saw the Orange Bowl officials, Orange Bowl,
Fiesta Bowl.
Freudian slip there, Fiesta Bowl, in the elevator going downstairs at halftime, and the guy just looked at me and said, heck of a ball game, but I hate these. This bothers me. It bothers me.
They have their matchups all set up. They don't want to see anything ruin that. 3rd down and 9 for the Huskers at the 48-yard line. Gadowski rolls out. He's looking to throw. He has Gregory, but I believe he's short of the 1st down.
Tom will go for this, no doubt about it.
Kevin Thompson made the play on Gregory, and he is less than a yard short of that.
If he's even that. About 18 inches short. We see the replay here. Good catch, turns upfield, just doesn't quite get there, and as I predicted, no doubt about it, the offensive genius is going to go for it.
Thank you, Howard Cosell. 4th and 1 for the Huskers from the 40-yard line. Boy, you talk about big plays. This has to rank right up there. Gadowski wants the crowd to quiet down as he calls out the signals. Clark and Carpenter, the setbacks here. The handoff goes to Clark, and he leaps for the 1st down. No question about that. And unless we have the worst spot in history, Dan, there's no question the Huskers have picked up a 1st down. The clock continues to run, less than 4 minutes left to go. And they are calling for the chains?
No, I don't believe so.
There's an injury.
Yeah, no reason for him to. You saw the replay there as Clark go up and over, and that was really muscle football. Had I believed that Nebraska had one to either side of the plate, they might have broken it for the 1st down because Oklahoma had really jammed up and had broken it for the touchdown. Oklahoma had really jammed up in the middle, but it was just muscle football.
All right, Jake Young left the field again with an injury. David Adil back at center for Nebraska. 1st and 10 from the Oklahoma 38-yard line. Gadowski looking to throw. He's open. Has Gregory open. Touchdown, Nebraska! Oh my, what an aerial display Jerry Gadowski is putting on. This is straight from Steve Taylor in the UCLA game a few years ago, Dan.
It really is, and they did a little cross there as the two receivers crossed and almost a pick, and Gregory was wide open, and Jerry was right on the numbers again. This is absolutely tremendous. Going to see two angles here as the play fake again. Jerry cocks and fires, and you'll see how on target it is.
Man, this is like watching one of those 7-on-7 drills in practice.
It really is. You see the second angle here. Jerry goes back again, cocks, and really fires this ball with a lot of authority. And Gregory's behind the defender again, and we see 83 in a row.
Ooh, Greg Barrios puts it through. Nebraska leading 39-18. I remember a prediction last week of 38-17 by Fearless.
That's right, but I believe there are going to be some more points put up here by Nebraska, but at least Nebraska has got that margin out where now Oklahoma is extremely vulnerable, because with only 18 minutes left to go, they cannot play that control football that they were playing in the second quarter, banging it down the field. They're going to have to take some chances, and that really just feeds right into this Nebraska defense that's so fast, so quick, and pursues so well.
I'll tell you how quick fortunes change. The Sooners certainly were very much in this ball game. They still are, obviously, but they had recovered that fumble. They had picked up a couple of first downs. They went for it all and came up short. And right now the result, Nebraska leading 39-18. The Huskers moved 49 yards in 5 plays on that drive. Morgan Gregory, of course, with a 38-yard pass from Godowski, and that was Jerry's 4th touchdown pass of the game, and that gives him 19 for the season. And that is a stat unheard of since the days of David Humm and Jerry Taggy.
It really is. I mean, you have to go back to a guy who's thrown the ball as well as Jerry has thrown it, back to those guys that you mentioned there, who went on to good careers in professional football.
All right, Chris Drennan has it teed up with 3:37 left to go here in the third quarter. Drennan kicks off, and that's going to be Dwell Brewer, a very busy young man. He has it at the 3. He's at the 20, and he doesn't get much further than that. He's stacked up at about the 23-yard line. All right, here's a look at that touchdown pass again, and Dan, Jerry Godowski, listening to these numbers, 11 of 13 for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Those are Heisman numbers, there's no doubt about it. We've been talking about this guy all year long, and what he's done other than throw the ball and run the ball is his tremendous leadership and his example, and I think he really has shown through example what this team can do and sort of pull them forward himself.
All right, we have a 1st and 10 at 24 for the Sooners. The handoff up the middle to Perry. And that will not get Oklahoma their lead back. At halftime, I talked to Dean Blevins, the Oklahoma announcer, who I believe was the former Oklahoma quarterback, and he was very worried from an Oklahoma standpoint. He knew they were still in the ball game, but felt the Huskers had the upper hand and could move to a bigger lead in the second half, and he has turned out to be a prophet thus far. 39-18 the score with 3 minutes left to go. And we have a 2nd down and 9 situation at the 25-yard line. There's Brewer. He has a big hole. And Brewer brought down with the first down at the 37.
Well, you saw a very fine block out there on the end, but I do believe that the loss of their tight end, Cooper, in the first half with that jammed knee, as we saw, will really hurt them.
They had to bring in a freshman, Dan, to replace Cooper with the veteran, and Joey Mickey, the tight end, and just doesn't have the experience right now, even though he's a big player, 6'7" and 255. Here's Steve Brewer's numbers, and those are not bad numbers, Dan. 18 for 95. He has been a very impressive freshman. And none of his yards have come easy either. 1st and 10 at the 38-yard line now. Collins, boy, he pulled that out at the last second. Almost a naked reverse there of some sort, but it worked.
I think that was a called play. There's no doubt about it. What they're trying to get, Nebraska is over pursuing on defense, and then him spin back to the other side of the float, and he almost got open, as we'll see here. He lets it go down the line, then pulls it back. And if it hadn't been for Crow playing off the block and a fast recovery by Cooper, he might have broke it.
All right, another 2nd down and 4. Collins hands off to Brewer. This time there is no room for Mr. Brewer. And we have a host of Nebraska tacklers. Chris Caliendo, you see there. Randall Joplin getting off the pile.
Great penetration there by Wells. He was in the backfield, had buried underneath the block and got up and disrupted the play, and we have another big third down.
Third down and 3 there. You see the yardage. The Huskers have rolled up over 400 yards thus far, and of course the big differential is in the passing game. 3rd and 3. The Sooners running the option. The pitch is to Brewer. He has some room, and that's Reggie Cooper. That finally brings him down after a first down.
Not only is Perry piling up the numbers and Brewer piling them up, but Perry is doing a tremendous job on blocking out here on the corner. He has really leveled Tahan Lewis a couple of times. Lewis leveling him, and I wanted to mention this the last time we talked about it. What Lewis is doing is he's coming up and taking out the interference and letting the other guys make the play.
1st and 10 from the 45. That does not sound like a job I'd like, Dan. I'll tell you that. Here's Collins on the keeper. He has another 4 or 5 yards. And this is an interesting approach the Sooners are taking, Dan. We thought they'd come out and play come from behind ball, throwing the ball. We're getting close here to the end of the 3rd quarter. 40 seconds left to go, and they are still playing as if it's the middle of the 1st half.
I don't understand this because I don't believe this will win the ball game for them. They might be able to score another touchdown or 2, but that's not going to be enough to win the ball game.
You wonder if they think the only way to keep Nebraska off the board is to keep the ball out of their hands. 23 seconds left to go. Here's the pitch to Brewer once again. A nice block, and Brewer has some room. And Cooper on the cleanup duty. And you're right, poor Tahan Lewis, number 5, who was the force man in the secondary, is getting steamrolled, and Leon Perry, the senior fullback, with another block, Dan, as we see coming up here.
Well, let's see it again and see what happens here on the block. Again, it is Tahan Lewis going down low and getting underneath. It takes him out of the play, but it also wipes out anybody farther downfield.
All right, time running out here in the 3rd quarter. That's Perry up the middle. He's dropped at the 20, and that will be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Nebraska is leading this game 39-18. When we come back, Oklahoma will have 2nd and 7 at the 20-yard line. Stay with us for more Nebraska football.
3rd quarter score, Florida State 51.
Welcome back to Memorial Stadium. We're ready for the start of the 4th quarter. Nebraska leading 39-18, but the Sooners are knocking on the door. Nebraska has outgained Oklahoma 408-3, 28 after 3 quarters of play. 2nd and 7 now as Collins brings the Sooners up to the line of scrimmage. The handoff is to Brewer. Oh, boy, he took a hit in there. I believe that was Ty Rance.
I believe it was Ty Rance, and when Ty Rance puts you down, you usually stay there. We're going to look at the current stats here, and these are tremendous.
Look at Nebraska, the edge in first downs. Oklahoma has an edge in rushing. The big differential once again in the passing game. And look at Jerry Godowski's passing statistics, 11 of 13 compared to 1 of 4. Now that one pass that Oklahoma completed was for a touchdown, but they haven't done much since, and they're going to have to put up the ball if they're going to win this game. Another 3rd down play, Dan. 3rd down and 5. That is Perry in motion. Collins on the keeper. It's kind of stacked up. He pitches it outside, and a great pitch it was. And Brewer picks up the first down.
Well, they've just almost gone away after that interception. They've just almost gone away from the throwing game. They don't even, that time it was 3rd down and 7, and they didn't even come up with a men split out anywhere. But a great pitch here enables them to pick up the first down and keep the drive going.
Boy, that takes tremendous poise to do that, because he was very close to being tackled for a big loss there. Instead, the Sooners have 1st and goal on the 8-yard line. And here we come. The South Stadium erupts in noise.
We need a Sooner fumble here.
A la Billy Sims about 10 years ago. Oklahoma having trouble hearing the signals, perhaps. Collins, I believe Collins is keeping. And it's no go. That's Pat Engelbert, the backup nose tackle from Columbus, making the play along the line of scrimmage. And I don't think he gained anything, a yard perhaps. 2nd and goal.
As you could see there from the beginning, that play was a little messed up to start with. Collins put it in Perry's middle and pulled it back, and then He was put to the carpet with authority.
All right, we have second down and goal from the 7-yard line now. Guess is split out wide. And that play goes nowhere. Or what do we have again? Another Fumblerooski.
Another Fumblerooski.
Boy, I've never seen that called twice in a game.
This is something else. This is incredible, and Osborne is going to say later, boy, I'm really sorry I invented this thing. Look what they're doing to me with it.
Mike Sawatsky is making a career out of running this Fumblerooski, and he has it down third and goal from the 1-yard line. He just barely missed a touchdown, so the Huskers may be able to hold him out here. Perry, and there is no signal yet. There it is. Touchdown, Oklahoma. It was very close. But the Sooners stay alive in this game with that touchdown play. And I'll tell you, Dan, you've covered football a lot longer than I have, but have you ever seen that Fumblerooski used twice?
No, I have not seen it used twice in one ball game. We see the touchdown there as he burrows underneath and gets in there, but seen it used twice in almost the same position.
Right, close to the goal line. Almost an unintentional Fumblerooski there. This is Lasher in to attempt the extra point, and RD puts it up, and it is good. So with 12:49 left to go in this ball game, Nebraska leading 39-25. But Dan Livingston, we have seen too many heart-stopping and heartbreaking finishes on this field to think that Nebraska has this one locked away.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I was just sitting here thinking, though, with only 12:49, about the only way I think Oklahoma can win the ball game is with either tremendous defense, of course, or if Nebraska turns the ball over. And they've been, well, I won't even say it. I won't even say it and jinx them, but I think it's going to take a turnover or something like that for Oklahoma to get back into the game.
That drive for Oklahoma, another very impressive one, 76 yards on 13 plays. And Leon Perry, of course, put it across. And the big play was that Fumblerooski by Sawatsky, which fooled everybody, the announcers, our camera people, and I'm sure the Nebraska defense as well.
See Harry Husker signing autographs there, a very popular type guy.
You think Harry has trouble getting dates?
No, I think not at all.
I'd hate to see one of his dates. I don't know, Henrietta Husker or
right,
the female mascot. 12:49 left to go here as we are just about ready to tee it up here for more Nebraska football. The Huskers really haven't been stopped this afternoon. Riddell in on the kickoff, and that is Tyrone Hughes and Leotis Flowers. And Hughes takes it a yard deep in the end zone. Oh, you better run it, Tyrone. You better run it. And he has some room. For just a second there, that delay almost worked in his favor. But then we almost had a repeat of what we saw last week in the Kansas game.
And that was not Tyrone's fault. I believe that was Bell's fault for telling him to stay in. Boy, almost a fumble there on the touchdown, as you see on the replay. And Collins did a good job of recovering and getting it off.
So the Sooners, in very impressive fashion, get back in this ball game. The Huskers will take over with a 1st and 10 on their 17, and this could be one of the crucial drives of this game. We see Jake Young, I believe, is back in at center for Nebraska. That's good news. Morgan Gregory, the only split-out receiver for Nebraska, as Clark and Carpenter are the setbacks. Clark in motion now. And here's the reverse with Richard Bell, and that hole closed in a hurry. I thought Bell might have some room, Dan.
Yeah, it looked like it had some room, and it also looked like if Jerry would keep that ball and fake that reverse, that he would have been wide open, because Oklahoma is really closing the holes in a hurry and pursuing after everything, and I think a little misdirection would really catch them off balance here.
That was Wayne Dixon, the outside or left end, as they call it in their nomenclature, who fought off the block from Chris Garrett and made the tackle. We have a 2nd down and 10. See the Sooners drawing first blood here in the 4th quarter. Gadowski on the option, looking to throw. He has Nate Turner out there. Nate, just over his outstretched fingers.
Intended for Turner, incomplete.
He had a couple of steps on his defender, and that would have been a big play, certainly a first down, if not more. But now the Huskers face an obvious, well, I'm not going to say obvious passing situation, Dan, because neither one of these teams facing long yardage necessarily goes to the passing play. But the Huskers are sending in, it appears, a slew of receivers.
The great thing about Nebraska's offense, though, on every play call like this, Jerry has 3 options.
All right, we have Gregory split out to the near side, and John Bostic is on the far side. Carpenter the lone setback. Gadowski going back to throw. He has Gregory. Gregory will be short of the first down. I think that play, Dan, is designed to perhaps get a mistake out of the defensive back, and it just did not happen that time. So the Sooners hold for the first time in this game. They will force Nebraska to punt.
And just over a minute taken off the clock, and of course, that is not enough time. Nebraska needed to run at least 3 or 4 minutes off the clock to assure this thing, and they did not do it.
Well, there you see Mike Stiggy, the redshirt freshman, in to kick for Nebraska. And I hope he hasn't grown cold on the bench, because he has not seen much action in this ball game.
Oklahoma's offsides, and it'll be a first down for Nebraska.
Brewer fumbles, picks it up again. He was calling for the fair catch, but we do see a signal, and it appeared that somebody from Oklahoma jumped off sides. And you talk about critical mistakes, Dan. Their defense had held Nebraska down by a couple of touchdowns, and it indeed is offsides or encroachment on Oklahoma. The Huskers have new life. The 5-yard penalty, it was 4th and 2, of course. The 5-yard penalty will give them that first down automatically.
Incredible mistake, slipping off sides just when you thought maybe Oklahoma was going to get it in great field position. As you can see here on the replay, he just can't get over.
5 yards, first down.
On the right side of your screen there, right in front of Bill Bobora. And I don't know if the Huskers altered their snap, but in any event.
Well, the snapper there, I'm sure, saw that he was offsides, and Roger just snapped it, and well, he was still in the neutral zone.
Roger Fitzke, the launch snapper, of course, a senior out of Harvard, I believe it is, and he has quite a bit of experience, and certainly has the respect of the Husker coaches for his expertise in long snapping. All right, 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. So the Huskers, a strange way to get a first down, but they get it, and they continue to move the football now. 11 minutes left to go here in this 4th quarter. 39-25. The pitch is to Clark. Clark trying to get outside, and the Sooners run up to meet him. Number 35 out there, Frank Blevins, junior with quite a few tackles in this season and in this game, and a pickup of about 2, so we have 2nd down and 8.
Tackle led by Blevins.
And it may be time, Dan, once again, we'll risk becoming play callers for the genius Tom Osborne. Maybe a little misdirection would be in Nebraska's favor. I'm sure we aren't telling Coach Osborne anything he isn't aware of already. A couple of receivers split out for Nebraska. It's Richard Bell on the near side. There's a handoff to Clark. And not much running room again. Joe Bowden standing his ground in the middle as the Huskers tried a little delay or a draw play of some sort there.
That's the sprint draw that they haven't run too much today. Ran it a couple of times at the end of the half, but Oklahoma is really holding their ground and pounding away at Nebraska.
3rd down, 6.
Ken Clark leaving the field now along with William Washington as the Huskers put that passing offense in. They'll have 4 receivers, and then I believe Brian Carpenter will be the lone setback. So we have a 3rd down and 6 from the 34. An obvious passing situation. Gadowski looking to throw. And he has Morgan Gregory. Gregory makes the catch. He's inside the 40. There is a flag on the play. There's an obvious first down. I don't know if somebody moved.
That's where the flag was thrown, in a position of somebody moving early. Boy, I hope not, but yes, Oklahoma is pointing in Nebraska's direction, and that's what it is.
So the play is going to come back, the legal procedure on Nebraska. And, of course, the fans, once again, with memories from the Colorado game, let a few boos waft out over the stadium. That's a tough break, Dan, because that was really a nicely executed pass play.
Boy, Gadowski has been on
against the offense. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Repeat, 3rd down.
So it must have been in the way they lined up, Dan.
No doubt about it, and the flag came out even before the ball was snapped, so the official was making the call there, and no doubt about it, it was an infraction by Nebraska. Tom kind of shaking his head over there saying, shucks, you know, we could have had a big one there.
All right, instead of a first down in Oklahoma territory, we have 3rd and 11 at the 29 of Nebraska. The Huskers in the I formation now. Gadowski, and Gadowski goes down. Boy, he did not have a chance. He was looking to throw that, but that was Stacy Dillard. Sophomore tackle was through there almost instantly. And that is a rare occasion for Nebraska football this year, a quarterback sack.
Oklahoma had taken a chance there. As you see, the Oklahoma defensive line slants to the left, and that's the way Jerry was running the ball, so he slanted, or he ran the ball right into Oklahoma's slant, and they were there.
All right, Stiggy in again to punt, as the Huskers unable to move the ball in that series. A low snap, Stiggy gets it away, and it looked like a fair catch call for by Brewer. And I think Duell, if he had that to take back, would have liked to run that ball.
I'm sure he would have. The important thing about that penalty, even though Nebraska was not able to, to make it work and drive on down the field, we did take another 2 minutes off the clock, and there's only 8 minutes and 46 seconds left in the ball game now.
Stiggy, for his first punt of the game, got off a good one. That was a 45-yard kick for Mike, and no return. 8:46 left to go here at Memorial Stadium, and what a ball game this has been. 39-25, the Huskers lead. The Sooners will take over.
And I think this will be a most interesting 8 minutes and 46 seconds left to go in this game. How many times have we been sitting here in Memorial Stadium, of course, and see Oklahoma come back? You know, the irony in the 80s in this series is that Oklahoma has won up here and Nebraska has won down in Norman. And the guy that's been on the road has had the best of this, and we just hope that doesn't happen today.
Well, it will be interesting, Dan, when the Sooners do come out, if they take that option, their running approach, as opposed to throwing it. And with 8:46 left to go, time is not in their favor. So here we go, 1st and 10 from the 33 of Nebraska. Collins tries to keep it, gets outside. A nice move past Reggie Cooper. Whoa, get out your dancing shoes on that one.
Oh, just a tremendous move, and I've really been impressed with Collins, both with his running ability and how much pounding he has taken today. Now watch this little move here. As I said before, I'm here. No, I'm not. I'm gone.
Wow.
Right on by he goes. Good move.
Tell you what, you really don't look forward to the prospect of facing Mr. Collins for the next 3 years. First down for Oklahoma at the 46. That is Otis Taylor in motion for the Sooners. Collins, the handoff to Brewer. And he has stuck very hard. Not much of a gain there. Pat Tyrants, and it seems from our vantage point, Dan, that Pat has been on quite a few tackles this afternoon.
He's playing a heck of a game, and Wells was also in there low and tripped him up from the bottom, and then Pat Tyrants just nailed him down.
A gain of 2 on that, and it brings up a 2nd and 8 from the 48. The clock continuing to tick away in Nebraska's favor.
Sending in a late play call there, which is going to force Oklahoma to go the line in a hurry here. Only 10 seconds left on the clock.
That was Peter Schmidt, the tight end, coming in. 2nd and 8 now. Collins pitches out to Brewer. The Huskers converging. Brewer is stopped. And Dan, that time, Tahan Lewis was not to be denied. He played off the block and made the tackle.
Yeah, he fought through that block that time rather than go down and cut his legs out from underneath him. So maybe the Nebraska coaching staff has changed their philosophy on that type of knocking down the defender instead of fighting through it.
And then, guess what? Another 3rd down situation. We've seen it so many times in this game. The Sooners send out Arthur Guess as the wideout. Bruce Pickens picks up the coverage on him. Otis Taylor in motion. And Collins looking to throw. The rush is on. Collins going downfield. And it is incomplete. Guess was open, but the pass was underthrown.
And Tahan Lewis is down as he converged there. I think he got kicked in the knee, and Tahan Lewis is down on the field. But that ball was just underthrown is all it was. Perry is also down in the Oklahoma backfield.
So we have a couple of injuries. I think Tahan might just be shaken up there. He's walking a little gingerly. Perry might be a little more serious. They are still attending to him. The Huskers had some good pressure on Collins.
Now this receiver was really wide open, and Collins just could not get the ball to him. We have an isolation here, and he puts on a move and goes to the inside and turns Pickens around. But boy, the ball was just short.
And Arthur Guess, the receiver on that play, he's the guy that scored the touchdown in the first quarter, as you mentioned, Dan. That was a fine move. But once again, one thing to mention, the pressure that was on Collins there, forcing him to unload that ball perhaps sooner than he wanted to, or certainly not with the being able to set his feet the way he wanted to. There you see Leon Perry, the senior fullback, still down on the field, and the Sooner training staff trying to get him up and going again. And so we're going to have a little break in the action here. 7:13 left to go in this ball game. Nebraska leading Oklahoma 39-25. And Perry up on his feet, rather gingerly.
And listen to this Nebraska crowd. I am so proud of them, the way they've been in the ball game today and the way they show appreciation for other players. Not like some other crowd that I can remember about 2 weeks ago. Those idiots down in Colorado. I'm telling you, that was really something. But the Nebraska crowd is really appreciative of good play on both sides of the ball.
All right, Dan. We're going to get some calls from Denver, I'm sure. And the Sooners are going for it. 4th down and 7. This could be the ball game right here. 4th and 7. Oklahoma going for it. Collins looking to pass. He has time over the middle, and he has Arthur Guess. And that is going to be a first down, and you can't cover a receiver any closer than Tahan Lewis had Arthur Guess covered.
A really good throw by Collins here. He really rocks back, plants his feet, and fires this one in there. That's just on a rope across there. Tahan Lewis had great coverage, but
Coach Gary Gibbs now perhaps thinking his team has a chance as they are marching down the field. Less than 7 minutes to play. Brewer on the handoff, and he goes nowhere. The Huskers have really plugged up that middle in a fine fashion this afternoon.
And that's just not going to do it. Those types of calls are just not going to win this ball game for you. My goodness, you know, that's going to take alone. That type of call is going to take 45 seconds, 35 seconds off the clock, and they can't afford to do that right now.
Right now, both teams with their full complement of timeouts. There you see the clock ticking away. Nebraska a 14-point lead. Collins looking to throw. He's going deep. Nobody. Oh, I see nobody there. It was almost caught. Tahan Lewis almost had the interception.
Tahan Lewis got a hand up and knocked that one away at the last moment. The defender was out there. We see an isolation, a good shot here. Pickens has him covered to the outside. Now Tahan Lewis comes over and watch this hand. Up in the air at the last minute. Ding.
Whoa! That is a tremendous play by Tahan Lewis. All right. Well, that caused a brief stir in the audience there. I'll tell you what, that Art Guess has really impressed me as a receiver. 6:20 left to go now. 3rd down and 8 from the 34. As Otis Taylor comes out wide. Sooners with 3 wideouts now. And they go with the handoff to Brewer. Dan, I do not understand that at all.
Nope, just not the proper call, but I'm sure they're saying we're going to go for it on 4th down, and they were trying to catch Nebraska napping there a little bit. It's one of those plays, if it works, you say, oh gosh, what a great call, what a great call. If it doesn't, it gets swallowed there, as Nebraska did. It's a terrible call, and as it ends up, it was a terrible call.
Ray Valadon, the senior tackle, playing his last game at Memorial Stadium. In on that one. Once again, we have a 4th down and 10. Let's see if Mr. Collins can come up with another miracle. He has plenty of time. The rush is on. Plenty of time.
Oh, he went down.
And the pass is kind of lost from his hand. I'm not sure what the penalty flag is for.
The penalty is for the
ineligible receiver?
Yeah, ineligible receiver touching the ball is what the penalty is for. But I believe because it is incomplete, there's going to be nothing there. And that's exactly right. If that ball is tipped, We're going to see a little holding here. Tahan Lewis got him and said, "You're not going anywhere." But that is a proper call. If the ball is tipped, then anybody, of course, can catch it. So there was no flag there. But, of course, it was 4th down. They didn't complete the pass, and now Nebraska takes it over. And if they start winding this clock down, you're going to hear this crowd just come unglued.
All right, 39-25. The Husker fans, since 1982, have not seen a Nebraska victory here on their own home turf. So let's see if they can get one today. 1st and 10 from the 36. Godowski. Godowski keeps. No, that is Carpenter. All right, Carpenter up the middle. And he picked up a 1st down. And I think that last play may have taken the wind out of Oklahoma's sails, Dan. I mean, that was the ball game there with the clock running the way it is. Nice cutback.
See Carpenter covering up the ball, and tremendous balance there as he puts his hand down to pick up the 1st down.
All right, 5:23 left to go in this game. As we take a look at the rushing yardage from this game and the passing yardage, Nebraska with a big edge there. It's much more even in rushing yardage, but the Huskers on the scoreboard leading 39-25. What has been, to me, one of the best ball games of this season. All right. 1st and 10 for the Huskers at the 47. The spread formation. Once again, Carpenter pounding up the middle. And they'll have about 4 yards.
And the clock keeps on running towards the Fiesta Bowl. And I just want to mention that in that Fiesta Bowl, playing against Florida State, which some people say could be the best team in the nation, Nebraska is definitely not out of this national championship picture, because you start from the top. Notre Dame playing a tough Penn State today, and they have to play Miami, and in the bowl game they could lose. Colorado most certainly can lose in the bowl game against Notre Dame. Michigan has to play Ohio State and then has to go out to the coast. They can lose. Miami can lose. Nebraska is in position, if they keep winning, to be in the national championship picture.
And there's about 4 minutes left in this game. The handoff is to Leotis Flowers. Leotis makes a nice move and gets down to the 45. Leotis Flowers, I believe that's his first action from scrimmage in this ball game.
To talk about that a little bit more, Nebraska, with this win and with the big ball games yet to play, Nebraska could end up ranked as high as 3rd in the nation, as high as 2nd in the nation going into that bowl game. And when you're in the top 5 in the rankings on New Year's Day, you always have an opportunity to win the national championship.
And indeed, the first national championship Nebraska won was certainly a similar scenario. All right, 39-25, 3:34 left in the half. 3rd down and 2 at the Sooner 45-yard line. This is Leotis Flowers. He has some running room. Flowers at the 30. Flowers brought down inside the 25. There's a fumble on the play, but they rule that he was down. It's Nebraska's football. Leotis, don't do that to us.
And everybody is still in the stands yet watching this tremendous ball game. And you and I, just as we watch the replay here, you and I just want to thank all those people that are still up at 1:30 in the morning watching this replay. It has been a tremendous ball game, and I don't know how you could go to bed. But just in a minute, when I sing "Turn Out the Light, the Party's Over," you can also go to bed.
Don't sing, Dan. Just say "Turn Out the Lights," okay? Dandy Dan Livingston. All right. So the Huskers in good scoring position, and 3 minutes left to go. The clock ticking at the Oklahoma 42. A nice run by Flowers on that last play. The fake reverse. Flowers keeps it, and he's inside the 20.
Great play there. The only thing bad about it is he got knocked out of bounds and stopped the clock with just 2:52. As you see here, Tom is showing him the reverse action again, but he's not going to take the chance and get a fumble there as Leotis holds onto it, goes on downfield, and as I said, gets knocked out of bounds.
Of course, Leotis, the sophomore from Omaha Central, and I've been very impressed with him thus far, Dan, on this drive. This is a clutch situation, and he has run very hard.
He really has. Nebraska has a lot of returners, but they lose 25 starters. Oklahoma only loses 11 seniors.
All right, 2:52 left to go. 2nd down and 5 at the 17. The handoff to Leotis, and that time he goes nowhere. That was Stacy Dillard, I believe, number 77, in on the tackle, and then Dante Williams cleaning up. So we're going to have a 3rd down situation. Let's take a look at Williams there, the nose guard. playing off his block from Jim Wanick. And then wrapping up Mr. Flowers.
And we saw a face mask in there that got missed by the officials on Flowers that had him almost spun around before the tackle was made.
Well, maybe that'll make up for the holding on that last pass play from Oklahoma. Kind of even things out there. 3rd and 6 now for the Huskers from the 18-yard line. Gadowski looking to throw. Gadowski into the end zone. And it's incomplete. Richard Bell, the only receiver out there. I don't know if, I think Jerry probably decided just to let that one go and see what happens.
If he did, it was the only bad throw of the day if he overthrew it. They are going to bring Barrios in and go for the field goal here. A little decision of whether to go for the field goal or just go for the first down. And they are going to go for the field goal, although, as everything that Osborne has thrown at him today, this could be a fake.
Jerry Dunlap has a little experience tossing for those off the fake attempts. Barrios will try it from about the 25-yard line. This will really notch up this game if it's good. The kick is up, and it is good. So Greg Barrios with his second field goal of the afternoon. It is 42-25, and Dan, I'll tell you what, the Sooners will have to score 3 times in the final 2 minutes of this game, and it's happened before, but even I'm starting to feel safe here at Memorial Stadium.
Turn out the lights, the party's up.
I told you not to sing. Of course, at this time of night, it's permissible.
It's the best singing on television this time of night, I'll guarantee you that.
All right. Well, a few of the fans leaving here, but the vast majority of Nebraska fans sticking around because an Oklahoma, or a victory over Oklahoma, is certainly as sweet as they come. Nebraska.
Go ahead there with the drive.
64 yards on that last drive, Dan, in 7 plays, and that was some valuable yardage. Barrios, of course, with a 35-yard field goal to cap the scoring drive. And Nebraska has been stopped only twice on their possessions today. Once by a punt and once by the turnover, that bad pitch by Gadowski. Other than that, they have moved the ball very well. And I would assume they got to be getting close to the 500-yard mark in total offense.
Against a defense that was ranked in the top 25 in every category coming into this ball game. We saw a tight shot there of Tom Osborne, and let's just sing his praises for a while as the kickoff is about to happen here. What tremendous football he has brought to Nebraska in the 80s.
And there is the kick from Drennan. Brought out to the 15, to the 20. And stacked up just on the other side of the 20-yard line. That was Donnie Smitherman on the return, and that's a name we haven't heard very much. Smitherman is a senior, and I wonder if that was just a gesture perhaps from Coach Gibbs trying to get his senior in the game. There you see the Huskers scoring drive, and there you see the score.
Big thing about that scoring drive is that 3:30 taken off the clock, which just caused me to sing.
All right, Steve Collins on his own 21. He's going to have to really pull this one out of his pocket. Collins cuts upfield and is met by Reggie Cooper, but the Huskers will let him do that for the rest of this ball game.
If that's what he wants to do, there's no doubt about it. Just contain him in the middle of the field, make him run up it, and this next minute 30 will go away in a hurry.
Just a few stats to throw at you here. Ken Clark unofficially finishing this game with 102 yards on 24 carries. Dewell Brewer has 139 for the Sooners. All right, here's Collins. He's going to throw it long. And just about intercepted, and there's the flag.
Yeah, good call, good call. Tahan Lewis went right through him. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Well, Guest stopped on the play. And
Tahan Lewis would have been all right had his right arm, as you'll see here, not come across the defender's back. Now, his left arm goes to knock the ball down, but watch the right arm. Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Goes right to him. Good call.
Tried to take a shortcut through Mr. Guest there, and the referee called back.
Automatic first down.
All right, we still have 1:13 to go. And these Husker fans are still not very forgiving of the men in the striped shirts. Look at those stats for Oklahoma. There's a fine program as well. In the 1980s, they've had 5 conference titles and 8 bowl appearances, although they will not have one this season. All right, back to live action. And Steve Collins just escaping Mike Murray, but there's no escaping Kent Wells. And I know Kent, the senior that he is, had to feel very nicely about capping his career with a sack of an Oklahoma quarterback.
And the two good friends there, Murray and Wells, as you see them slap hands, they've been good friends all the way through their careers here at Nebraska, and they're going to have a nice night for Murray tonight, tribute to him here in town, and also for another senior, Mark Haggie.
Right, the linebacker from Creighton Prep, who's been the great special teams player. We have a timeout on the field, and some of the fans are singing the old song, Hey, Hey, Goodbye. So I guess we have a little more singing, Dan, to put up with here.
Talk a little bit more about, yes, they do. The whole bunch sings better than I do. It's a chorus, though, of course, against one guy. And we saw another shot there of Tom Osborne. Just a little more about what that guy has done in his 17 years of coaching here. This is the 21st consecutive year that Nebraska has won 9 ball games or more, and they're going to their 22nd straight bowl game. Nebraska, Tom Osborne is the leading percentage coach in active football today. He has brought so many innovative offenses to the ball game too. We saw a play go against him twice there in the guard around, or the Fumblerooski, but the Fumblerooski, and the skip pass, and so many other inventive offensive things that he has brought to this game. He's just a tremendous coach, and I'm proud of him.
All right, 2nd down and 19. Collins looking to throw again. He drills it way short of his receiver. The pressure was on, and he had to get rid of that. 44 seconds left to go in this game. The Huskers have this one wrapped up. 3rd down and 19 for the Sooners at their own 34-yard line. And Dan, after spending a frozen afternoon in the booth upstairs, Phoenix sounds very good about that.
It really does. I'll be glad to get down there. The Fiesta Bowl always treats the Nebraska team, coaches, and their fans extremely well. And I think that was one of the things that influenced the players about the straw vote about going back.
All right, we have 3rd down and 19. Collins looking to throw, and he is hit from behind. That's Kenny Walker. The ball popped loose. Recovered by Oklahoma. But get the number of that truck, says Steve Collins, as he was blindsided by Mr. Kenny Walker. This crowd is loving it. The clock ticking away at Memorial Stadium. 23 seconds to go. I believe there's a timeout for Oklahoma, 4th and 22. And Dan, maybe we should say thanks to some of the people that helped us today. Jeff Stevens helping with the taping, Galen on the stats.
And Galen has been handling the stats all year long, and it's just tremendous that Galen has been able to keep up with this tremendous offensive ball game. And also Teleproductions, as you see the camera crew going by there, really appreciate the great camera work. I look back to that first touchdown that Nebraska scored in the camera work, and you would almost see Godowski's eyes glancing back and forth and making his decision, and the right decision, going on in for the touchdown. Tremendous effort here by Teleproductions, the camera crew, and the people in the truck.
And we should also thank, what was I going to thank? I'm running out of people to thank here as we have 23 seconds left. The sports information staff here at Nebraska, Don Bryant and his crew, for helping us out in this telecast. And we hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure, believe me, bringing it to you. I know Tom Osborne, maybe Tom will watch it tonight, who knows? Stay up late and do a little celebrating. There's a frigid cameraman at the top of the stadium, Bobby. All right, this is it, fans. Collins, and that is intercepted
by Bird.
Tyrone Bird on the interception. And he's just going to run out the clock a little bit, makes a little move, and stays in bounds. This is one of the more entertaining plays of the season. He ran 20 seconds off the clock, Dan.
Tremendous there with 4 seconds left. Tom Osborne is saying, go in there, drop on one knee, and we'll get this one over. And this Nebraska crowd will stand and give their tribute to a tremendous Nebraska football. There you see a very touching moment with Tom's son Mike giving him a little hug there, saying, great season, Dad, and I'm glad we're going back down there and play a little golf.
And the fans are massing on the sidelines. I have a feeling There's going to be a little storming of the field when these final 4 seconds tick off. Mickey Joseph in at quarterback now for this final play. 42-25. Boy, this is sweet if you're a Nebraska fan. Joseph on the keeper. And there it is.
They're going for the goalpost.
Tom Osborne coming across the field. The fans streaming out of the field. Tom will shake hands, of course, first of all with Gary Gibbs. But the final score from Nebraska, 42-25. Just a great ball game for a Husker fan. A very exciting game. The fans starting to rock the goalposts. There you see this crew. They have waited a long time, about 7 years for this celebration, Dan.
I don't know if we're going to get these goalposts down. They need a little more help, but more people are coming on the field, and the one down here that you see shaking right in front of the store is liable to come down before any of them do.
One thing you have to say about Colorado, they were prepared for those goalposts to come down. They had their maintenance crew out there unscrewing the posts so nobody would get hurt, but this is kind of a spontaneous celebration. I think the Huskers, just a lot of frustration being spent out there this afternoon.
It most certainly is, and I said early on in this game that Nebraska needed to show the nation that they were a great ball team, and scoring 42 points against Oklahoma. They most certainly have proved that as the goalposts come down on one end of the field, and they're about to come down on the other.
And just a couple of stats before we leave. The Huskers had about 460 yards of total offense. Jerry Godowski, we have a player of the game on the Osborne show. I just have to say Jerry would be a candidate this week. 12 of 16 for 227 yards and 4 touchdowns. There you see the goalpost coming down.
And I'll tell you, my player of the ball game is Merlin Klaus, your first debut in play-by-play, and you've done a heck of a job here. Called a great game.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. This has been the thrill of a lifetime to do a game like this, and certainly very exciting from the very start of the game. Well, you think we're about ready to sign off here? I'm about ready to hit the hay. It's probably about 1:30 in the morning by the time this airs. And there you see, let's close with the Nebraska fans, a happy celebration, carrying the goalposts off the field, and I'm sure the celebration will still be going on when this telecast airs this evening. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been a sports video production. I'm Merlin Klaus, and on behalf of Dan Livingston, say good night. The final score, Nebraska 42 and Oklahoma 25.